There's something special about sim racing and endurance events. There really is. And one of those most important, most special, most magical events that you get is when the sim racing community comes together and says, you know what? Let's put on a 12-hour showcase to show exactly what the Australian Peninsula has to offer. We are at the great fabled streets of Mount Panorama, Bathurst. We are here for what is day 1 of 2. It is qualifying. We've got to know where everybody stands. First and foremost here with SimSpeed TV and streaming live, be it Facebook, be it YouTube, be it wherever you get your sim racing. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I'm Jake Sperry, Peter Wilkinson alongside me for the ride. It's a Sperry and Wilco showcase around this incredible track, which needs no introduction, but we'll give it one anyway. This is one of the most beautiful vista view roads in all of the world, Wilco, and you have to say that when you put 30 odd GTs around here and you say 12 hours, the zoom down to just about Sydney and just outside is going to be one that is always one that we love here at SimSpeed.
That is it, Jake Sperry. Thank you for having me on. A pleasure to be commentating with you here tonight. Bathurst, Mount Panorama, it is one of those tracks where they always say it. Anything and everything can happen at this track, and it often does. I've been there when it was beautiful, sunny one day, snowy the next. It is something special in the Australian and the World Racing Series. And yes, as you said, put GT3s around it for 12 hours. Who knows what's going to happen? 12 hours is such a long time in endurance racing when you've got a nice flowy track like, let's say, Spa, let's say, well, not so much the ring, but, you know, you've got these flowy tracks where you can go off a little bit, make a few mistakes. Look at this place. You know it, Bathurst, it's got walls everywhere, and you are going extremely fast, and there's nowhere to eject to safely. These guys are going to be doing an immense job just to finish this race, let alone win this thing, Sperry.
Well, one thing we certainly do know that 12 hours worth of racing, this has in recent years become the forgotten enduro, which is a real shame to see over the last couple of years when it comes to the real world. So it's very nice to see that when it comes to the virtual, there's a bigger grid than there is when it comes to this field. Watch out for the two big overtaking places tomorrow of Griffin's Bend at turn 2 and the run to turns 20 and 22, or 20 through 22 at the Chase, the fastest corner in Australian sim racing. We've got two groups then of qualifying to try and discern things here tonight, and we'll get that going in about 6 minutes time, and those groups will get 35 minutes each to try and set their best qualifying time. Of course, with how the day goes, drivers are looking at the way that they grid themselves up, and they all want to be in the first group rather than the second to have more favorable conditions. But one thing that drivers will be keeping in mind is that if someone does come off, there is the no escape rule, which is a patented staple with the Oceanic sim racing, which means that if a car finds itself off and damaged around this Mount Panorama circuit, the stewarding team do have the ability to throw the red flag, and the clock will continue here, Wilco, when a red flag is thrown. So that puts a little bit of nervousness to put your time in early and quickly, but we are expecting a lot of here's, there's, and everywheres, especially from drivers thinking about how long it takes for the tyres to reach an optimum temperature today.
Yes, that's it. We've got optimum temperatures of tyres to wonder about, but you've got that outlap to worry about. So if you are on a flyer and you're coming down and it does get red flagged, you've got to go through all that again. And as you said, the clock still goes, so we lose time. They need to bank that lap extremely early. These guys have been practicing a very long time for a race like this, and they've probably done it many years in a row, whether it's here or somewhere else, the Bathurst 12 hour. But qualifying, such an important part of the race. You don't want to be at the back and get tangled up in any kind of incidents at the start of the race and ruin your race in the first 12 hour, in the first hour of 12 hours. So qualifying extremely important. But as you said, the red flag rule. Don't make a mistake here. Don't be the person who gets ejected from the server and miss out as well. So much to think about, so much on the line. But you know these guys, Barry. You're going to try and just put a banking lap in. You're just going to try and, just let's get it to the grid. As soon as you put someone behind the wheel, though, you're trying to hit every wall that you can to get down to the bottom of the hill the quickest, beat everyone else on the track. That's just the racer's mindset, and that's just what's going to happen when we get these guys out on the track here for qualifying very, very soon.
It's number 43 car making its way up and down the Conrod Straight, and it's the OPR powered by Fast Adjusters 43, which is out there at the moment, fourth fastest in practice, and times maybe not as representative as they potentially might be as they go overall around this. It's Nick Carroll who is currently behind the wheel of this four-man entry at this point in time, and I'm sure that at this moment they'll be looking to try and get those final bits of practice, those final few tweaks going through. Now, to look around what makes a lap like this so special, you talk about every corner has a story to it, and so too does every piece of machinery that is in and around. I think what's key is we look at the Pulse Assure Toyota, or the Shuka Toyota. It's out there right now. John Merrick currently piloting that here. We're going to see balance of performance be a really interesting dynamic. Of course, everyone's got the choice to choose one car here, Wilco, to win this event. So they'll go for the best opportunity. That's why we see the majority of the field going with the BMW. We think that's the best car of choice. But there are McLarens, there are Ferraris, there's even a Lamborghini out there. Drivers are choosing cars which maybe gives them different advantages at different places on the track, as we see a big wreck over Skyline.
Yeah, that is something that you don't want to see as you're coming over Skyline. I guarantee you that'll be interesting. But yeah, as you're talking about, the cars are vital. Like I know myself, the BMW is the one that everyone is trying to get in at the moment. It seems to be the safest and the quickest at the same time around the mountain at the moment. That word safe is a very big part of endurance racing. You want to drive what's comfortable for yourself. I myself would prefer to jump in the Ferrari because I just feel very confident in the Ferrari. It just sits around these corners really nicely for my driving style. But yes, most of the people around here, the BMW will have a very good, here we go, we're going to have a look at this race, but a very good amount of BMWs here on the track. There it is. I've done that many times just to get the tail out on the edge, and that's not the spot to park the car because, yes, you do. There's no time to react. Going over Skyline, something special, isn't it, Sperry? Especially in the 12 hour where you're starting off before sunrise, and when you hit Skyline about 2 or 3 hours into the day, you are literally heading into the sun and you cannot see a thing. It like you said, it's something special, this track. Every corner, every bit does have a story, but it changes over the day too. Like it's going to be such a big event tomorrow where you're going to see so many things happen just throughout the day. But Skyline is one of those ones you don't want to park yourself just over the hill there. Sperry, we're going to have a big race tomorrow. These guys have got 44 seconds left. What do you think's going through their mind in this last 44 seconds before we get into quali?
What do I think? Well, you got Jack Stiles there, one of the British contingent out there racing. 7 o'clock in the morning for Jack, which means it's 7 o'clock in the morning for me as well. And he'll be certainly looking at this early start going, right, let's get up to speed and get going. But these drivers know that if they're in that first group, they've got a chance to really make sure that they have to put the best foot forward. If you're in the second group, relax, watch the time, see what the time is to beat and go from it from there. Someone like Jonathan Kiley, for example, in the Frog Leap Juice racing Red 97, who had that big incident, then I think we're in a different position entirely. And you go, that's not the omen I want to go out and start a session like this. So confirmation then from the practice results, it was the team of ABB Racing which found themselves the fastest time, the number 36 out there, then with a 2 minutes, 0.857. They were followed by the team in second position, number 64, Pulse Echuca Toyota team. They're running around in the McLaren. Following that was Synergy Sim Racing Wave Runner. They found themselves third, with OPR powered by Fast Adjusters in fourth. Nice to see the team of Team PGZ out there as the leading Ferrari. Fifth fastest overall through Jakub Kwiatkowski in fifth position, with the second of the Synergy Sim Racing machines, the 89, in sixth position. TriStar found themselves up in seventh through the efforts of Sam Sutton, with Team Jinx Shifters in eighth, and ninth being the Rusties Racing team there, getting its car's ability through. And rounding out the top 10 overall would be the Whitey's Pies, powered by Ryko team. They would make the top 6, or top 10 that were there. But drivers who are out there right now, a lot of them, of the 33 teams that were looking, or I would say, yes, the 32 teams that were looking to set lap times here, Wilco, about 5 or so teams decided not to use anything in practice at all. And that is interesting because drivers, some teams from certain, outfits that they're looking in, decide we want these conditions, the earlier conditions. And it's important to say this because we are in sim time, just ticked over 11. The track temperature right now is 37 degrees. Expect it to get hotter as we hit the midday sun.
Yes, definitely. You can see here we've got the team on track from Evolution. They're coming down the hill together. Another big part of qualifying is this draft down the track. If you can use that, you can get a little bit of an advantage in a field where times are going to be tight. We went through them before for the end of practice there. That extra tenth or so will make a big difference. But yeah, there's a lot to come here in the next little bit as we go through this, and I understand, getting the time of day is very important. Bathurst, when it gets hot, it gets real hot. We're doing some practice in the background, and we're talking about 50-degree tracks that the guys are practicing on at the moment. So it make it very slippery and slidey as they get up over the hill. If it does get up to there, but at the moment these guys are going out there. They're on their first laps. Will we see anyone get under 2 minutes here today? Not sure, but I can tell you there'll be some fast times definitely as these guys go up the hill here. What a beautiful track. Heading up over here, you get the jump, you get the little bounce over here, and then straight down into Griffins, and it doesn't stop from there till you get to Conrod at the other end, Sperry. It's just a magical spot, isn't it?
It certainly is. Matthew Bowler at this point with a massive glare as he looks up through turns 3 and 4 up at the cutting, trying to maximise as much of the track as possible, flicking around turn 5. And now you hit Reed Park, 6 and 7, the right, left. It's so easy to clatter that left-hand side wall if you're not too careful. And now you're running through this section. Metal Grate coming up then on the right-hand side. And now you're trying to get through McPhillamy, which is such a beautiful corner. You feel like you've crested the top of the hill. And then down the hill through Peter Brock's skyline. And you are into this rapid, or this white water rafting section of track where you are hanging on for dear life through every section. Open yourself up then for the Forest Elbow, which opens out to lead to Conrod. They had a tree fall down here once, but that hasn't stopped us racing here ever since. And now you've got this long moment to compose yourself, buying the best line over this track. And now Head is taking a small little bit of draft there, does Matthew Bowler, from Reese Gasol, who had just pulled over, not happy with that initial lap, and trying to run through to the chase then. Down to just third gear, trying to flick it through the left and then the right before you're back on the power, looking for Murray's Corner, which ends out the lap overall. We should see the first times then here start to creep up on the board, and coming over the line then for Matthew Bowler. It's a 2:02 flat, which sets the pace then with the early times.
Yeah, that is a very good time. There's a lot of there's a couple 2:02s coming in, a few 2:04s there, 2 to 4 seconds off the pace. Obviously, we'll see how they go, because as you talk about tyres coming up to temperature, that is a key part. This car will grip at one stage and become very quick. Just going through the times, no one's really saved their tyres for a big run hit. Evolution Racing Team, we saw Reese pull over a little bit, so that's a slow time. But here we are on board with HTS Racing as they coming down the hill here, getting into Murray's. If you can get it right here, get the braking point at the right mark, and then swing it in. Stay out of the grass, stay out of the wall, and come across the line for 2:03, which isn't too bad a time to start the day off, and then go again up the hill again.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's very fast at the moment there for the 105 BMW. So that there is pretty solid, just behind the number 7 out there at this point. There is the Drop Bear and Kosi machine out there on circuit. The 692, a 222.2 for Jack Styles. So gearing it up, looking to try and get more of a lap time the longer that this session goes on. Driving at about 80% of the property out there at the moment. But it's going to be about who masterminds the tyres and who can get a run working for them, as John Peisnick's team there with Reese Gasol behind the wheel. The 261 did a 206.8 with the initial lap, which is 12th fastest at the moment. Looks to try and really make sure this second lap has got the tyres up to temperature. Evolution Racing Team, one of the biggest teams when it comes to Australian sim racing. They've been absolutely everywhere in it, and that puts them to the top. They are 1 and 2 because a 2:01.410 is more than enough to see them up at the very, very pointy end of the field here, Wilco.
Yeah, it's a very good time. We saw just under the 1 seconds in practice, but that is a very hot time for the start of the race. And you can see his first lap was a little bit slower. We saw him pull out, but his second lap was good. As we're riding here, we're watching Frog Leap Juice Racing Black as they come down into Murray's here. 2:02 last time they went past. The 98's going to come past the start finish line for 2:02.7. Goes to 4th on the grid as he heads back up again to the hill. We've got a big long qualifying going on as we come up here with the BMW of 9.5 Sim Sports as they come up over the grate and come through McPhillamy. They're on a good time. The previous was a 2:02.1. If they only got to improve that by half a second, and they're really right up there at the moment. So you got to get this part right. No little mistakes down here. It's very easy to hit a wall and put your whole run off and put your car back in the garage and ruins all that work you've put into getting your outlap together. Wrap it around Forest. Make sure you don't hit the ball on the left or the right, and then get that car flying down Conrod. What a spot to finally get a little bit of time to unwind on this track. There's not very much time to unwind on most tracks, especially this one. But this is the time to take a breather, but you don't want to take it too long because it's just about to hit that fastest corner as you're talking about, and you can't dip it into the grass. You can't hit the chicane the wrong way. And then here we go. 147, 148 to here. Is he on quick enough time to get across the line and better his time? He's definitely not, according to my things. He's pulled into the pits. That is why. A lot of mind games going to go on in Quali Sperry. A lot of mind games. I like it. And I can't wait to see what happens here as we get these guys back out on the track for their second and third runs at it. You see the Mercedes in the background there flying into pit lane.
Absolutely, trying to get as close to the commitment cones as possible there to set the times. There's the WMB, which is backwards for BMW, believe it or not. There is the number 50 car out then at the moment. Justin McLean behind the wheel of that machinery and trying to make something happen. And, well, if the car's pointing backwards and the name's pointing backwards, then at least something would be pointing in the right direction, looking for some goodness in this time. Haven't set a time as of yet. Rounds the final corner of Murray's and over the line searching. It's a 2:03.4, which will be good enough for 11th position then with that first time that's been put through. So the WMB team find themselves in 11th, and it's only best possible of 11th at the moment, Wilco, when you consider that these drivers are all pushing through. As we take a nice little slowie at the Evolution Racing Team car, then going through the skyline. That, of course, is the 261, which leads overall, which is Reese Gasol behind the wheel. And look at the lick of flame in the back of that McLaren. I tell you what, you absolutely love to see the lick of flame that comes out of it. It's like a fire-breathing dragon around this mountain.
There's nothing better than it, to be honest, especially in the early hours of the morning when you're starting at 5:30 sim time. It's great. I noticed Lockie Capel was on a pretty good run, and he got up to the third just as you had improved his time anyway, just as we were talking about the other one there. Very, very good lap from him, but we are here with the number 6 of Dylan Gray and DG Motorsports. Looking like it's a bit of a slower lap, but we're on his out lap here, but oh no, he's not, sorry, previous lap was an out lap. But yeah, he's not doing the fastest. Now, we're going to see some slow times and then some fast times, Sperry. I think that's what we're looking at. This Mercedes, look at how blue and grey that looks brilliant as it comes around the hill there. Lights blaring as you come over Skyline. Hits the ripple strip nicely, gets close to the wall. You got to really almost aim at that wall. There we go.
That was Simon Chadwick and the 957 95 Sim Sport car getting in a bit of trouble up over Skyline, had backed it into the wall, but crucially was able to get the Mercedes-Benz back going again. We haven't seen many Mercedes-Benz here today. I think they're the only one. So they're able to get it back going again, and crucially not needing to call for any help out there in terms of that incident. So we'll take another little look here, coming down the hill. We'll see where the problem is. So it looks pretty good, but there, on the depression down through the turn left, the bottom or the back of the car there, effectively compression damps there, Wilco. And the issue you've got then is you've got no grip at all, when essentially you get no grip for a brief microsecond, and then all the grip comes back again.
That's it, and it could have ended badly even for DG Motorsports as well. If they'd came around and clipped him as well, that could have ended their session as well. But very, very close call there, but very easy to do. There's lots of places you can make very small mistakes on this track. You just got to put the foot down at the wrong time, point the car in the wrong direction, and away you go. We've got a few people out there seem to be doing some good laps at the moment. We're going on board with Shakedown WC 44. What a purple car. There's some really good paint jobs here today, but Bailey Stephen is doing a good job here coming out of Forest Elbow and heading down. Time looking okay. Gets a little bit of a draft as he overtakes the other car, and then flying down. That's the Taipan car. And then coming down the hill here, 203. He is not too bad a lot of time. Sitting in 7th at the moment, needs to improve. We only got to improve by 1/10 of a second to get that next spot up. As we're talking about the start of the qualifying, Sperry, it's only a couple of, very, very small margin between these guys. He's doing a bit of weaving. Maybe he's going to be pushing this one, get a good exit here, and then go for another lap. And that's the one he's going to push for, because it doesn't look like that's going to be the one. As we head over to the 952 at the moment with Hayden Sell on board here as he crosses the line with a very quick time. That's a 201. That puts him into 3rd position, jumps ahead of Lockie Capel, and what a nice time there, where less than 1/10 between him and 2nd place there of the Evolution 262. What a good time.
Yeah, so doing a wonderful job there, putting in some times, and moving up into 3rd was certainly what was needed. There is the HES Racing Yellow 105. They are down to just 25 minutes remaining now, or 26 minutes, I should say, in this session that they've got going forward. So they have got to be very, very switched on. And in fact, no, I'll correct myself. They've got 15 minutes because there's a 10-minute gap in the middle, which allows for the transfer of sessions, all drivers to finish any laps that they're currently on the track to be declared as clear before they go through. But the HDS yellow car up into 6th fastest position with Aaron Cooper behind the wheel, certainly finding a wonderful lap time that is out there. So he's certainly going to be looking for a bit more, but you can see the big gap right now on the qualifying times. The top 4 split by 0.6 of a second here, Wilco, and then it's a 0.6 second back to 5th position in the Frog Leap Juiced Racing Black.
Yeah, it is a bit of a gap there, and as we see, he improves. Doesn't quite improve the time. Improves the time. Yeah, improved his time. Sorry, my brain is switching crazy right now. But look, Very, very small gaps, but then, yeah, like you're talking about 204s right down to 16th for Taipan. I'm not counting the 210 of Crisscross, but you got 3 seconds separating this whole field. They're spread out more than I thought they would be, but Evolution Team Racing again, second on the podium, second on the qualifying at the moment. Matthew Bowler, we've got him on board again. Calm and collected, way more calm and collected than I'd be driving this car at that pace, but I guess that's what you've got to be to be quick around here. You don't want to be stressed and tight and ready to go.
That's a 2:01.1. That's a money lap there from what was Reese Gasol actually out there overall. So money laps in behind Matthew Bowler. Then trying to get as much as possible in second on a 2:01.7. So going to try and get a little bit of help. And this is what having 2 cars together on circuit can give you. The opportunity to coordinate with each other and say, well, I want to have a run with a little bit of toe on my lap so I can get a few advantages. This is a slipstreaming style circuit, which seems very weird to say when you've got a massive mountain section where overtaking is practically impossible when you're going around the lap. But you turn around and go, well, you've got a mountain straight and a Conrod straight, both of which you are hitting some very high speeds in these GT3 vehicles. We take a look at the Rapid Theft 14, which is out there at the moment and looking to try and put some good lap time in. They are currently 13th fastest at the moment with Jack Pickett driving behind the wheel. But you get that ability to coordinate in a session like this, Wilco. And if you're in the same bit at the same time, well, I'll have a run this time, you can easily switch it around and go, well, I gave you the run for the first goes forward, so for the second runs forward, here, have my toe.
That's it. It's a very, very strategic part of team racing. Around Bathurst, you talk about how windy is over the hill, but yeah, you've got to remember those 2 massive straights we have. And it does make a difference in these cars as he gets wide there, very wide into Forest Elbow. That's going to, keeps it off the wall nicely, but that's ruined his lap there. Very, very easy to really put it in the wall there and end your car's life, unfortunately. But he's done well to hold that and will come down and probably shake it out, get some new tyres and go again, I'd say, after that little scare. As we see the slow-mo coming up the hill here. This is as close as you do get to that wall, and if you don't get that right, you muck up that whole run across the top of the hill there, and it's easy to do.
Well, what's even more that drivers have to be very careful about is that the way that they go and attack near that wall, the way that the iRacing system works here, Wilco, is that they've got to be worried about that rear spoiler. It's absolutely massive on the back, but if any part of that rear end plate falls over the wall out there, that is classified as a 0x incident for cutting the course. So they have to be really careful about how close they go. They can go really close, but they can't go so close that they're, pushing the car actually over the barriers.
No, that is it. You don't want a 0x around here, especially on a hot lap, but we can see here the 957 coming over the hill. Unfortunately, he's had the off track just there. You saw the very scary moment through McPhillamy and Simon Chadwick in the car there will not improve this lap, unfortunately. But one of those things you do get across that hill, one little mistake, as I said, and it's all from the start. Coming up through the cutting, you get your line slightly wrong, and it ruins that whole run. As we're on board, we're riding now with the 268. That's a beautiful number. Taipan Esports coming down the hill here, down Conrod. After the run across, Jai Potts on board, sitting currently in 12th position.
12th position right now, and absolutely trying to find a bit more. It's 0.3 of a second to find for Jai at this stage. Jai Potts driving for them at the moment, as it looks like the DG Motorsports car has damage and has had to pull it over at the left-hand side of the circuit on the front straight. So there'll be questions on whether that can be recovered safely or not. If it can't be recovered safely, then they might have to red flag the session then for a car which is stopped effectively on the racing surface into the opening corner. So this here, Wilco, is not ideal with the number 6, who's 15th at the moment, could put an end, at least temporarily, to all the qualifying efforts. But everyone will now be knowing, okay, there's a car stop. We have to get this lap in, waiting to see whether it's going to be a red flag. It's a red flag, so the session then will be halted. The clock will continue. Matthew Bowler's got around, by the way, and has actually had contact with Robert Crisdale out there on circuit.
Ooh,
and
that
a
car looks
massive
bad.
bit of miscommunication. Look how much it's crabbing here, Wilco. I want to get a replay of what's happened here, not only to the number 6, but to the what happened then with the 98 and the 262. So 2 things have happened at the same time, or at slightly different times, and they have brought out the red flag here in this opening qualifying session of 2.
Here we go. We've got Matthew Bowler, coming down the hill here. He's pulled out because we've got a red flag, obviously, and it's already happened. No, he's just decided to pull in at last minute and cut across. That's an issue. I think if the race control might have to have a look at that's a terrible cut across. Not that it's going to make much difference now, but this is the number 6 coming around, just gets it a little bit fast into Murray's there and cuts across into that wall. Very easy to do when you're pushing a lap. You put that foot down a little bit, take the corner too fast, and you put the foot down too early. And the car looks okay, but he's just decided, nah, that's not going to happen. He's in a straight line at this stage. I need to pull out of this lap because you've got a long way to go to get around the pits. That's the worst corner to possibly have a problem with your car, because you're not going to get up over that hill safely and back down. But that was an interesting one with Matthew Bowler, don't you think?
I think it really was, because he's left it incredibly late to dive down into the pits, waiting for the red flag call. And then by the time that he's looking like he was going to be allowing what was the Frog Leap Juice Racing black car to come down to the inside, he's changed his mind. And at that point, you know, the 98's already committed. They've done nothing wrong. They're trying to make a clean pass, and that's trouble. The issue you had there with that Mercedes-Benz there, or the AMG Mercedes, was that you had issues with the alignment. We'll take another look. This is from the juiced perspective then, going through. So the McLaren slow, okay, hits the brakes, allowing through. Where do you go? Where do you go when something like that happens? Anticipates it's coming across to the left, so tries to get right to try and avoid that, but effectively runs out of time with the slow speed nature of what exactly has gone on. So a really awkward incident, and something that the steering team definitely needs to have a look at over the course of action. But we do have the safety car then out and driving. The race director is apparently behind the second safety car out there at this point in time. Or the safety car at this point in time, and making its way up and over here towards Reed Park, just making sure that the track is fully clear before we can get ourselves back to racing or back to qualifying. And they really haven't left too much longer in this qualifying session for them. They've got themselves about 12 minutes right now to make sure they can set a qualifying lap time in, and that clock will continue to tick as this session goes. So it means that they're going to be probably looking at 1, maybe 2 flying laps if they want to get this sorted when they get resumed back to green flag running in qualifying. So 40 minutes on the clock, ladies and gentlemen, will be the checkered flag coming out for this first qualifying session.
I'll tell you what, if I was the race director, I would be nervous as hell driving this car safely around this track right now. But you bring up a great point. The short amount of time we've got left, what you're going to see, I assume, is a whole heap of cars that want to get that 2-lap stint in out of the pits straight away, which is going to make a very, very busy track. And you're going to see either some people trip over each other, or there might be some interesting points where people might get held up and be upset with. But just quickly on that Bowler incident, I've done that myself. I think Bowler's sitting there ready to let him pass, and then trying to let him pass, and then no, he's not going to go past, and then made the decision. They've both decided at the same time, no, I'm going to go past and I'm going to cut across at the same time, and unfortunately that's what's happened. But the race director made it around safely, Sperry. That's a solid effort. And all the cars, I said, here we go, chaos is about to ensue. All the cars are going back out on the track at once. It is a packed track. What do you expect to see, Sperry, over the next 10 minutes?
Well, 10.5 minutes. All cars are allowed to go back out, except, of course, for the number 6 DG Motorsports car, because the caution or the red flags came out for that number 6, and the number 6 had to effectively tow back to the pit. Their qualifying session is done. Even though they can repair their car in the pits quite naturally, they can't get themselves through because they didn't take the natural course of action, which is to drive into the pits. So that then finding itself as a point of contention, but expect a few lumps of drivers here and there to try and improve. They are against the conditions out there at the moment, but the fact that they have had that red flag actually might give them a little bit of help in this qualifying session, Wilco. Wouldn't you agree that you'd have 16 cars, 17 cars out there, which is putting rubber down on the circuit, which is heating it up? But the fact they've had that red flag and they've only had one car running on it for a period of about 4 minutes out there over the course of time, surely that means the track will ever so slightly cool down because no one's been running on it.
You would think so. There's also a little bit less rubber that's been laid on it, but I'm not that smart, Sparrow. You're taking me for a race driver. I'm a commentator, mate. I don't know things like that, but yes, it does make sense. You can see these Evolution racing cars, 1, 2 behind each other, both on the timing board at the moment and on track at the moment. Just making sure they're going to work together for this 1 to 2 laps they've got, but weaving down, getting those tyres warm. They know how important it is, because I think that second lap's where the fast ones are going to come from. As we see, we're on board here with the 50 just coming around, starting the lap and going down the straight. This little straight here, very, very tricky, because you got to get this turn right. Hell corner, you got to get right in, get as close as you can, get the exit, get as much of that extra bit of road you can get to get up this hill, because you're going to lose tenths of a second if you don't. As we see, what a good job of that, the WMB. I love it. That's a good team name. That's very good work. Sparrow, I don't think I would have got there if you hadn't have told me about that, but Justin McLean here takes it up the hill here, goes into Griffins, gets across nicely, comes out, doesn't hit the wall, which is always a plus, and then comes up to my scariest corner, the cutting. How to get this right, stay wide and loop it around. It's actually a lot faster corner than you think you want to take it, but there's that wall there that's greeting you if you do try and take it a little bit too fast. As we climb up over the hill, there's a lot of craziness. You see Evolution Racing going slow here. Bowler coming to the side here, and that's a very dangerous spot to be, especially people who are on an actual flying lap at the moment.
He hit the wall cutting.
Oh, there you go. That's why he's going slow.
Yeah, so he goes through into turn 3 and 4, gets it out of shape. He doesn't actually hit the wall. He just has a massive slide and decides, you know what, I'm going to have to back out of it. So you can see he's going to try and turn in. Rear's not settled as he turns in. And just like that, Matthew Bowler suddenly is in defensive mode and is trying to get out of the way of everyone up the mountain. There is the WMB SimSport machine looking to run through the number 50. Now, when it comes through into how BMW is said in German, it's not said BMW, it's actually said Bumway. So that would mean that this is the Weber SimSport machine, which is out there trying to make sure there is some amazing times on the board. McLean going through the chase, trying to attack that right-hand side curb and then put the power down off of the exit, looking for that final corner of Murray's. And will there be an improvement on a 203.4, which is currently 12th fastest at the moment? Absolutely there is. It's a 202.8. That's good enough to go 7th fastest at the moment for the 50.
Yeah, I'm just looking in the background. Jack Perkett's on a really good time here as well for Rapid Theft Racing as he crosses the line.
Slower though.
Slower. My timing's a little bit off. Sorry about that one. But looking good. Must have just had a bad bit at the end, then bad exit. But you talk about Bowler going up the hill now again. Those tyres would be cooked just about now. There's no way he could put a faster time down, but he doesn't need to at the moment. I guess the 2017's the spot to be. You can see here, though, look, we're going all over the place. We're going to ANZ Motorsports now.
Crisscross Racing. The number 22 is in trouble and is pointed backwards coming down the hill. So that, I would assume, is going to be a red flag, and that's going to put everybody back in the pits once again, and that might just put an end to this qualifying session because they might not get enough time to get back out and set another representative time. It's Callan Hodgkinson who is behind the wheel of the number 22. They'd only set a 2:10.5, so nothing representative, but it is an awkward place to have an off, and it looks like it's coming right after the dipper. And this would be the sort of instant where after the dipper, you either grab the wall or you're in trouble. So we'll take a look then from the top. Oh, no, it's at Skyline. So the first big hit's at Skyline. So 1 hit, 2 hit, and now you're just there like you're on the crest of the run. 3, 4. It says shunts on the side. It says shunts on the front. It shunts all around from him at the moment. And then it's about, okay, well, I'm going to try and bring this car back to the pits as safely as possible. Never ideal when the wheel's out of alignment. And you're just going to see it here. Oh, no, I'm not going to keep that point in a straight line. I'm going to call for help there. Wilco, that
have you ever
is
wondered
what makes this difficult.
You ever wondered what a pinball feels like in a pinball machine? That's what it feels like when you get it wrong in McPhillamy and come down Skyline, also wrong. And the icing on the cake is when he thinks he's got it right and I can get down to the bottom, puts the foot down, and it just spins. And that's nothing you can do about it. But that should probably be close to the end of the session, I would believe. I don't think anyone's going to be able to get back out of there. Here you go, on board with HTS as they just miss it. Yeah, go.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing where you look at as a driver and you see a car spin in front of you at a very unconventional place like that. You go, whoa, I was not necessarily expecting that. The 105 back down then into the pits. The last car out there is the Drop Bear and Cozy machine, which will find its way to the pits. And then the safety car will come out and inspect everything is all okay. Now, the key here is looking at the clock. So the safety car has to do 1 revolution around the circuit just to make sure that the incident is, in fact, cleared. And that's going to take over 2 minutes to do. And by the time that the safety car does get back to the pit, there will not be enough time for a car to be sent back out on circuit and then set a representative flying lap or go onto a flying lap. So qualifying then, or at least the first session then, is all but done. And as the safety car makes its way around then towards the cutting turns 3 and 4, I think we'll have an opportunity to look at how qualifying stacks up after the opening section of our 35 minutes. And it is Evolution Racing Team. The McLarens are 1 and 2. It's the 261 ahead of the 262 overall at this stage. The 9.5 SimSport team on a 201.8 find themselves in 3rd position with DBM Beyond in 4th place. Dan Yeaman's team with Lockie Capel putting the car up into 4th position. In 5th is the Frog Leap Juiced Racing Black team. They had a big issue out there with the 261 who set the fastest times overall. So they will be certainly hoping that they can go through. They're 5th at the moment, with 6th currently being HTS Racing Yellow, and the WMB SimSport team jumping up to 7th just before the second red flag came into play. Then you got Shakedown WC. They find themselves in 8th, the second of the Ferraris, with ANZ Motorsports in 9th position. It's Fish who is behind the wheel there, or the man known as Fish, Aaron Gilbert, 9th position for him. And then it's the second of the 9.5 SimSport cars, the AMG Mercedes, rounding out the top 10 overall. The other 7 cars to set times then were Rapid Theft Racing in 11th. In 12th was Drop Bear and Cozy, who will need to do some work in the race. Taipan Esports start from at least 13th. It could be a lot lower depending on the second session, with Frog Leap Juiced Racing Red in 14th. Then the Dylan Gray Motorsports number 6 having their qualifying ending early as they had to pull it over on the front stretch. They are 15th at best, with Fishy Motorsport and Crisscross Racing we saw having that issue, throwing out the second of the safety cars out there. But Wilco, 1 session put in the books. Evolution Racing Team, who have gone different to everyone else with the McLaren, find themselves on top. And that will surprise some people by car choice, but won't surprise other people by team pedigree.
No, that's it, Evolution. You said it before. It's a staple in sim racing, and it's no surprise to see them at the top. It is, as you said, surprise to see the cars at the top, but definitely not see a surprise to see them at the top. Will they stay at the top? We've got another big session coming up to find that out, but nervous little wait, I think, for a few drivers at the moment, especially down that bottom half of the field. How far will they slip back down this field before the race tomorrow? We've got a lot of big teams still coming up. We've got some more crisscross to come see. We've got some more frog leap juice as well coming as well. Unfortunately, they weren't in the same session. That is a bit of a downside for a few teams. They would have loved to have had that evolution chance of being able to work together around this mountain. As we can see here, this is the pole lap. Let's have a go. Sperry, talk us through a pole lap for Bathurst 12 hour.
Well, this is the pole lap as it stands. It's not the guarantee. So Reece Gasol behind the wheel, Hell's Corner turn 1, getting a nice run all over the curb on the exit and then up the hill. This is an important run that you get here that sets up the entirety of the lap. It feels like a roller coaster as you go up and down, and then you've got the uphill braking zone, which means you can brake slightly later here for turn 2 at Griffin's Bend, and it gives you this opportunity, this slingshot through using all the curb on the exit there at turn 2, and it shows just how aggressive you need to be. Turns 3 and 4, the cutting here at the long left-hander. It's like a slingshot as you then crest up the hill. Turn 5, there now you find yourself at Reed Park. 6 and 7, trying to get maximum effort out over the mountain now, as it's all about these left-handers using all of the road. Don't get too close to the wall and tap it, and then all of a sudden blink and you're up at Brock Skyline, and it's down the hill now. You need to find the braking zone, and a lot of drivers won't understand how late you need to brake and how much bravery you need through this section of track to maximize this circuit. It's so easy to drop a 1.5 seconds just by being cautious down this section of track. Now it's about rushing through the Forest Elbow, which is the difficult turn and brake as you go, and now you're on the fastest straight in Australian sim racing, leading to the fastest corner in Australian sim racing. That, of course, being the chase. Now pick your marker, go over the left-hand side there for that little bit extra tarmac, and then on the brakes, pick your marker as you go through the left and right. Always in balance, always in flow is Reece Gasol in the McLaren, and running over towards that final corner of Murray's, just tipping it in as late as possible to get maximum straight line on the run to that start-finish line, which is very, very quick along. And that then is a lap here of this brilliant, brilliant racetrack. So that puts everybody then into perspective in terms of what has been done over a flying lap. We do have cars out there on circuit right now, meaning that they've got themselves those all-important 35 minutes to get those times together and on the board. And every which way you look, it's going to be about now improving. In terms of what the track has done, though, compared from first session to second session, this is what we need to talk about here, Wilco. The disadvantage these drivers have from being fastest in the practice, because the track is 4 degrees hotter than it was at the start of the first qualifying session.
Yeah, 4 degrees does make a lot of difference, and it's very smart play from some people, making sure they're in. As we see, they're getting a little bit of grass underneath the wheel there of the BMW. But yeah, the big advantage going first. Not only getting a time on the board, not having to worry about it now, but actually, yeah, that temperature is going to make a big difference as these guys get through. We didn't see much time improving towards the end of that first session, which shows you just how much more difficult it did get. It'll be interesting to see these first flying laps from these guys and where they run out. There's going to be, we saw a 2-minute flat, or 2-minute.8 in the practice session. We're going to see if we can get close to that. I don't think we will. I think Evolution's got a really good chance here of staying on the podium, but we've got some fast guys coming through at the moment. As I say that, they don't. We've got ARB Racing has jumped to the top of the table, according to mine. And we here as SSR Wave Runner crosses the line with the 2019. The quality is starting to rise already, Sperry, even with those higher temperatures.
So ABB Racing goes second fastest then, the number 36 out there in the matte black machine, looking to get things going. Dylan Burst behind the wheel there, looking to get some times in on the board. Team PGZ have gone 7th, Pulsar Chuka Toyota in 8th place. So TriStar Racing find themselves inside the top 10. There are times, and they are certainly going through. 7:07 out there. Synergy Sim Racing, the Wave Runner 7:07. Tom Freer behind the wheel looking for a time, and it's a 2:02 flat from them, which puts them 7th fastest overall with that lap time. So Synergy are 6th and 7th at this moment in time, and that is important in terms of how they want to go about going into this. There is Team PGZ with 111 out there. They are, quote unquote, the mean team out there, but they are a mean team of really, really quick drivers, and they have had a number of quick drivers through their ranks, and Jakub Kwiatkowski driving for them at the moment here, Wilco, probably goes down as one of the more underrated endurance drivers in the world of iRacing sim racing.
Yeah, look, endurance racing is a very different beast, isn't it? Your drivers that just excel at endurance racing are the guys who can not only do a fast lap, but can consistently do a fast lap and not even think about it. As we see Jacob coming down here through into the last little bit, through the car chase, and then down into the pits by the look of it. So we're on board for a lap where he's pulled out of, unfortunately. But yeah, endurance racing is such a different beast, as I said, and the drivers are so good at just hitting not quite the absolute fastest, but when they have to, they do hit the fastest laps they possibly can. We see the 2:22 there going into 9th position, but it's all about hitting a pace, hitting a fuel burn limit, and hitting the right pace for the right amount of laps, getting those tyres to the end. As we see OPR powered by fast adjusters coming across the line here in a time that looks 2:02.5 currently. Yeah, moved from 15th to 12th there, so it's a good job from them. A little jump up, that's what we like to see, and yeah, off they go again to do it again.
Well, off they go again, but crucially, they don't need to find pole position right now. This is all about seeding those top 15 drivers who are out there in this qualifying session. Know that they have to find a lap time to put themselves in the top 15. Now, 15th to 16th, as things stand, which is between the Jinx Shifters, number 52, Brett Loxton, currently piloting that in this session. They've just bumped out the HTS Racing yellow car then from that contention because they were in the earlier session. So 2,000ths the difference maker, but a number of teams could still make the difference, jump up and find some times. There is the Rust-Ease racing machine there. Lightning McQueen is in a BMW apparently this time. Ka-chow moving through the metal grate, heading over to McPhillamy. And at least at the moment, Brock Kelly over Peter Brock's Skyline is looking to try and give a little bit more security here, Wilco, at this stage.
Yeah, that's it. It's a very important time, and it took a lot of run down over the hill there through Skyline. Very, very aggressive. I like it. Gets it in nice and tight there, comes out, doesn't hit the wall, and gets the straight to come down and see if he can improve. As we see Pulsar Chuka. Oh, this is an outlap. We don't have to worry about that. Pulsar Chuka goes up in 7th, splits the two SSRs, by the way, with a 2:02.059. 4/10 quicker than currently Tom Freer's time there, who's currently looks like he's coming as well. But that's a very good effort, splitting the SSRs, getting the top 10 there. We're here with the Jinx Shifters team of the 52. With Brett Loxton on board coming into the pits. He's going to freshen up, go out and have another crack again in the Jinx Shifters car. Very good practice time for pit entry as well, because we'll see that tomorrow. Will be very important. Here we go, ABB going out again for a crack at pole position, or to get to the top of the time boards at the moment. With a very good time there, 2:01.4 on the board, locked in, 3/10 quicker than third, 3/10 away from first. Can they find that 3/10? There's no one to help them get around, no extra draft. It's going to be about hitting the right spots. As you can see him come up out of Griffins, get as close to the wall as they can, coming up. We've got split screen here, but we're going to go through the cutting. Gets a very, very close to the wall, which if you got to do, you get a very good run out of there, up the hill, and here we go. Get it right over this top of the hill. Barry, get it right up the hill.
Over the top of the hill and trying to really mastermind then this middle section. You can see how close Dylan Burst runs to the wall and now looks to try and navigate through at the top of the hill, descending down with everything that the number 36 has available to it. And these times now are where you start making things happen. Those drivers who are trying to open it up through the Forest Elbow. And you're going to notice here a very important line in through that Forest Elbow. Not necessarily taking the traditional out to in to out there, Wilco, but more rather taking that inside line and hugging the wall all the way around that section of track, because that is the quicker line through the elbow, believe it or not. And now heading through that fast flick right at the chase. It's the team there of Anderson, Bird and Burst, and Dylan Burst looking to do the honours here for car number 36 heading towards the line.
Yeah, can he do it? Can they improve? They're on a pretty good time here. It does look like they're going to slightly improve. What will it be? Slight improvement there, but not enough. Very close though. That's 1.5 tenths away from top of the timetables at the moment. Yep. That's a very good effort. As we see TPGZ, definitely a team we'll be seeing a lot over the weekend. It's jumped up to 6th. What a good lap that is, Sperry.
That's a good lap, and that will give them some help. And even though these drivers are top 15 and have booked their place, they do want to improve those lap times. And the reason why is that it will be one-shot solo lap qualifying, then afterwards the shootout. And the better your qualifying is, the later you get to go out. That is important. There is Sam Sutton, then, who is in the TriStar Racing 222, who is going to be hoping that today, when it comes to his qualifying outfit, that he can go and put on an absolute show in that Ferrari. 202.3 at the moment is safe by the tune of 0.4 of a second over a number of drivers who are out there. Currently on the outside looking in terms of drivers who are out there on circuit. Keep an eye out on the number 51 Crisscross Racing car, currently driven by Stefan McCartain, because McCartain will need just 0.4 of a second to move inside the top 15.
Just looking, Sperry, your 14th through to 17th is covered by 1/100th of a second. That is on the bubble, and before the bubble, they've got to find 1/100th of a second. That's slightly putting the foot down earlier on one corner, getting it right just a little bit better on one corner. It is so important for these guys to get out there. You've got TriStar coming down. Can they just get that little bit further up? They're safe at the moment, but they wouldn't mind to be a little bit more safer and get that little bit further up the grid, sitting currently on 10th position, 157, 158. Can they get across the line and improve? It looks a good time. 202,
oh, nice
138 is a slight improvement.
It is. It's 10th place, so they stay where they are, but it was a slight improvement there for TriStar. There is McCartain and the 51 Crisscross Racing. Whitey's Pies, powered by Ryko, have just moved up to 19th position, so they're starting to close in on this. They're only a 10th back. Jinx Shifters move up to 11th position to give themselves a bit of room. No time set there by Stefan McCartain, so they're going on to a flying lap right now, and they know in the Crisscross machine that top 15 is the goal. It's currently being held by Rusty's Racing, the number 95 at this moment. And that is big at this stage, because you'll get this mad influx towards the end of a qualifying session where drivers who feel like they are not safe, and I would say at the moment, up to 11th position will feel like they are not safe for those who can go out there. Race on Oz, by the way, find themselves in 14th position. We haven't really had a chance to talk about them over the course of the action because Race on Oz is another one of these legacy teams that have found themselves through as the crisscross racing car flies up over the hill. But Race on Oz, it's really nice to see them out there because they have been one of those teams which have been pretty much together as a unit for a decade, and you've got to love the work that's done by them. Luke Mitchinson and Benjamin Smith will be in there for them, but crisscross at the moment down the hill.
Yeah, that's it. Going down the hill. Luke Mitchinson doing a great job as well, being Racing Unite today. Rusty's is, like I said, on the bubble, but crisscross coming down, trying to get that lap in. Gets once again great exit on the elbow. These guys are making it look easy out there. This group, they're really putting some good times in here. But as you said, there's so many people out there on the track trying to get that last little bit of time here to get up the board here. There's all around the bubble. Everyone's out on track trying to find that last little bit. Crisscross is coming down the hill though, into fast left-hander, and I always get it wrong. You got to aim over the hill. You got to be looking towards the horizon to get the turn in right. And coming down into Murray's such an important part because not only do you need to get this right for your lap you're on, you need to get it right for the lap you're about to do as well. If you get this wrong, you've basically wasted 2 laps.
That helps. That's 13th fastest there for the crisscross racing team. They will bump out then the Rust Ease Racing number 95 from the shootout as things stand. So that's an important time to have put down. They found a couple tenths of a second, but what has to be said over the course of the lap times that are there, it puts Race on Oz now on the bubble. OPR powered by fast adjusters in a bit of trouble. Frog Leap Juice Racing Black will be looking at those times and hoping that all those drivers don't improve because they were one of the teams out there in the initial set of runners that is hoping to remain inside the top 15. So this a crucial phase in terms of racing. We are with Dylan Burst and the ABB Racing Ferrari coming up over, I'll correct myself, I believe, we're with Sam Muir and the TriStar Racing 999 Ferrari now running over through the middle sector. And every lap we talk about it being important, and that TriStar Racing 999, even if they can't get themselves into the top 15, Wilco, they still know that any improvement in times will improve their qualifying position, their starting position for racing action tomorrow here from Mount Panorama, 1 week before the real-life Bathurst 12-hour. And this, of course, the Oceanic Sim Racing Bathurst 12-hour, brought to you by Logitech and Bowler Media. So, right now, you'd have to say, down the hill, TriStar Racing 999, they would like it if they had 2 in the top 15.
I definitely would. You got to try and get as many of your team up the top as you can. Talked about how important teams are. ABB is on a flyer though. This is a very good time. On my timing, they're well up, and they've only got to find 1.5 tenths as we talked about. They're going to come into Murray's here. That slow car hopefully won't hold them up. You got to get the exit right, and it is a 2:01.093. There it is, by 0.5 tenth of a second. They are currently at the top of the time boards. Got that perfect number 1 next to their name, which is what they want. At this stage, do you go in now, Sperry, and lock her up for the thing and not worry about it? Because the team behind them isn't out on track anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You've got 7 tenths of a second compared to anybody else. You bring that back into the pits, you feel like you're safe because you've beaten the 261, you've beaten the 262, you've done what's needed. 333 Lamborghinis are here, and it is the Mark 1 esports team. Jesse Butler looking to try and find a lap time here. 22nd fastest at the moment, and crossing the line. This is gearing up there for a lap, a 2:14.8 then, trying to get something sorted at this stage. The team of Butler, Fabian and Bernal is going to certainly try and move themselves up as much as they possibly can. In terms of drivers and teams who could maybe move up, keep an eye on Jake Edwards and the Whitey's Pies powered by Ryko team. They are 65th, or the number 65 car. They're in 19th position at the moment. They look like they've got an opportunity to move. So too could Matt Bailey, who's got in for the Rusty's Racing team. So those two looking to try and jump up ahead if they possibly can. But we're still focusing with the Mark 1 Esports machine as we now handily switch over to Team Jinx Shifters and the lightning of the Ferrari that is going down through Brett Loxton, who is ever a dab hand when it comes to machinery like this. Is going to be looking to find a magical run here, and currently 11th overall, 0.4 of a second to move up past the 222.
Yeah, they had a really good lap a couple ago, so they're out there trying to just get those last couple spots they possibly can. All TriStar Racing improves just down the bottom a little bit, up to 21st, not going to get themselves in the 15. There's some pretty hot looking laps out there at the moment, as we see here. Brett Loxton coming down to hopefully set a rather good time and maybe get that extra little bit on the table at the moment, as Crisscross goes up as well into 13th at the moment. But there it is, a 2:02.523 is a good time there. Doesn't improve, doesn't change the spot, doesn't improve. But that was a very good time. But Crisscross Racing moves up into 13th. Rusty's
more Rusty's actually.
Rusty's, that's what I saw. Sorry, I'm watching Crisscross on the other screen as well. But Rusty's Racing gets the 14th, just gets that little bit of a buffer. We're talking about 12 1,000ths of a second there ahead of 15th at the moment. Importantly, ahead of 16th by just about half a tenth.
Yeah, so Race on Oz on the outside now. OPR powered by Fast Adjusters on the bubble, and that tells you all you need to know there with the Frog Leap Juice Racing Black. And that, in terms of gap to gap to gap, is not much. And there is going to be someone unhappy at the end of this qualifying session who will find themselves on the wrong side of it. And the track is getting tougher and tougher to improve on. So now from 41 degrees at the start, it's now up to 43 degrees as we hit the midday heat. And now, Wilco, you start wondering, well, at 41 degrees, this is what I was capable of doing. At 43 degrees now, you're having to go above and beyond, and drivers are still finding 0.2 of a second, trying to work with the circuit as it goes through. So there's still a lot of work that is there and available. There is the analytical Race on Oz machine in 16th position and trying to find 0.5 of a second in what is traditionally hot Australian conditions.
And yes, does get much hotter than Bathurst around this time of year as well. Luke Mitchison doing a great job here, brings it around Murray's into the straight start-finish line, gets a 2:02.7. It's a very handy time. But let's go. Let's go the whole way around. Let's go as he goes up the hill here. Really important lap this, as we talked about his position on the track. He's 16th at the moment. Really needs to improve by the slightest amount, the slightest margins to get himself in that top 15. Coming up, we'll be thinking about this braking marker, just trying to go a little bit deeper, get across that apex, but then get it out as wide as you can. Open that steering wheel up, put the foot down, get up to the cutting. You're already starting to think about, where do I brake for the cutting? How close do I go? How much? When do I put the foot down? Because if you put the foot down a little bit too early, you get that tail out. Not only you get wheel spin and potentially put you on the wall, but you lose acceleration out of this run up the hill. So it's an extremely important exit to get right as we come down, getting as close as you can to these walls. This is why most cars don't have right-hand mirrors if it was real racing by the end of it, as we come across McPhillamy, looking at the beautiful horizon ahead and then just plummeting like a roller coaster down through. The S is a dipper, gets a little bit sideways out of there, gets as close to the wall. This is a good looking lap.
Tell you what, though, he was in a little bit of trouble over at McPhillamy Park. He took a lot of curb over the top of the Vista, and that might cost him in a big slide coming through the Forest Elbow. Might put him in a little bit of trouble here. So for the Race on Oz number 26, you turn around, you look, you see what can you possibly do with it, and now you start to wonder, now you start to think, okay, we've got ourselves a race on our hands, and it comes to the qualifying. Half a tenth means a lot, and every small mistake, every small jostle of the steering wheel means a lot. There is still a lot of time to find that move. You've still got yourself at least another 10 minutes, maybe some more to go and get that time. And over the line's a 2:02.4. So even with those issues, moving up then to 11th fastest and putting in trouble OPR, powered by fast adjusters. So now it becomes a case of, now how do you leapfrog the ladder as you go through? And I tell you what, the team in trouble is none of the teams who are down there 14th, 15th, 16th. It's the team in 13th, because they can't do anything right now, Wilco, to change their fate.
That is it. It's big. You'd be that Frog Leap Racing would be definitely panicking just a little bit right now, just seeing what they can, if they can hold on. But there's so much action here. It's really hard to look. We've got timing boards and everything going on, seeing hot laps going. But here we are, SS Wave Runner. The SS Wave Runner guys were both in the middle of each other before, one behind each other. Pulsar Chuka Toyota jumped in between them just a second ago as well. Let's see.
It was more actually the fact that the Synergy 89 improved their time to jump up to 7th. So that's crucial. There is Tom Freer. He'll have Jordan Ross and Kenneth Latter to go with him at Synergy. And over the line, a 2:02.049 did improve over that lap time, but only by half a tenth. So it's going to stay in the 9th position at this moment, as TriStars 222, who lie in 10th place right now, would like to have a little bit more leeway to go and work with, and that will invalidate the lap, going off, finding the grass over the top of the Vista, and that then will bring that lap to an incompletion overall. So this is the all-important way it looks at the moment. ABB ahead of the 2 Evolution Racing Team cars and the 9.5 SimSport 952. DBM Beyond find themselves in 5th. Then it's Team PGZ in 6th. But I would say that get yourself in the top 15 is the focus right now for all of these teams at this stage, and not necessarily am I the fastest or am I not, because they are playing on a staggered playing field at this moment in time. Rushing up over the top, though, we keep an eye out on drivers who can improve. Brett Loxton, the number 52 Jinx Shifters here, Wilco, is one of them. Is over the crucial margin here, and that crucial margin is Frog Leap, Juiced Racing Black. But all these drivers know it takes only one car, be it the Whitey's Pies team, be it Mark 1 Esports, to find a magical half a second, and they're right back in it, having to really race hard for it.
Yeah, that's it. We saw Luke Richardson's lap. We were on board with him the whole way around, and you can see how little small errors made it, but he still had a really good time. All these drivers will be ruining those little mistakes they're making if they're outside or around that 15 right now, and they'll be going out there to make it better. Let's go. We're back with the Lamborghini of the 333 Jesse Butler racing around here at the moment, getting that Lamborghini coming down the hill and bring it into the pits, because he has had enough of this lap and gonna go get a fresh set and come back out again and give it one last crack. But we go here to the 111 of PGZ with Jacob on board again as he goes at 201.9. Jacob, sorry, 201.98. Not quite an improvement. Half a tenth slower than their current time, but plenty of area to improve as we go now. Coming down the cutting, these guys almost going to be banging the walls everywhere trying to find that last little bit. But as you said, Sperry, one little mistake, you rub the wall, lap's invalidated anyway. So it's such a fine line. Such a fine line.
It is such a fine line, and we are going to be seeing it then as we focus on the number 65. This is the Whitey's Pies, powered by Ryko Machine. It is the BMW of Jake Edwards, looking to try and improve on lap time. You can certainly see on that BMW, look at how high that rear wing is, how it has to sit back down. This BMW, of course, a very unique piece of racing history, one of the first racing cars to ever be designed with sim racing in mind as well to develop for the real world. Edwards will jump into the pits then, so we'll need another set of tyres, running out of time in order to improve it. And there is the Frog Leap Blue out there at this moment then. The number 99 was down in 23rd position. They've just found a time. Scott Hassler moves up then to 19th with that lap time, and the 99 is creeping ever closer. Needs another 0.3 of a second yet, but you feel if you can find 1/10, you can certainly find another, and it's just a case of building the blocks and putting it all together on a lap.
Yeah, that's it. There's about a second between 15 cars here, all around that middle of the pack here. Like you said, only a 10th here, a 10th there can find you multiple positions. So getting everything right here is so important. But your best drivers in for this last little part of the session. Let's see if we can get it in. We're coming up the hill there, going a little bit wide, I think, but not too bad. Coming in, we've got some pretty fast looking times out there around that 15 currently on track. So we should see some movement here right at the end. Very nervous. Whoa, he hits the wall.
5 minutes.
That was definitely the wall. As we've got 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, so the 5-minute marker, because we had the break for the red flag, which brought the end of the session early, it means that there will be 5 minutes left at the end, which will be accounted for to make sure everything has a check and a balance to it. So they only have 5 minutes, so get on with it. There is the OPR, powered by Fast Adjusters, number 43, 16th by 12 thousandths of a second. If they want to bump the 95 out, they're going to need a lap. They're going to need some tyres first, though, and a little dash of fuel maybe to make it all happen. Race on Oz, they are up in 11th position, and they are over Frog Leap Juiced Racing Black. That's what's giving them the sanctity at this moment, that they are safe, is that they're ahead of Frog Leap, and the teams that are racing around haven't been able to jump ahead of that Frog Leap Juiced Racing Black team just yet. They'll still want to improve, though, give themselves a chance. Luke Mitchinson over the line, 2:02.6, doesn't improve on that lap time there, so still is needing to find some more. But drivers now are all searching around to get themselves through. And I tell you what, it is nice to see the 999 and who's behind the 999. I haven't seen them sim racing in a little while. It's nice to see Brant Tucker out there in the 999 racing, Wilco.
Yeah, it is. It's great to see. He comes in. This is that point. You said you've got not much time left. You've got to get either tyres on, go out straight away.
Oh, hello, Pulse. Pulse had just gone third fastest there, so Pulse Chuka there. The McLarens look like they are on fire here today. 2:01.653 there, Wilco, up to third.
I was keeping an eye on them on my other screen because I saw they were on a flying lap. You got me distracted, Sperry. I love talking to you. It's good fun. But yes, that is a great time. That's a 2:01.6, half a second or a bit more than half a second off first, clearing that evolution by 1/10 of a second, or a bit over 1/10 of a second. Race on Oz, Luke Mitchinson now coming down through Skyline, getting as close as he can. Got to get this exit right. He made that mistake coming out of the elbow last time. Can he get the foot down at the right time this time and not lose the rear end and find even more time than he found last lap out? Gets as close to the wall, feels like a good lap. Coming down at the hill at the moment. Taking a time to take a breath, which is the important part of this lap. Race on Oz doing a great job here. Currently sitting in 11th position. Can they improve as they come around? Big run through the chase. Let's go. Braking looks solid. Car looks straight. Get it in the right direction. Let's go. And don't get that little off track, which I've done many times, but coming down to Murray's, this is it. One last chance to get it right, and comes around that front corner.
No.
Yes.
Missed apex. That will cost the lap, and just like that, it's still a 2:02.5, but that could have been a 3 and would have put beyond any shadow of a doubt better times. The 7:07 looking to improve because they are 9th position at the moment, and they would like a little bit more than that. Tom Freer at this point, and they have to get over the line if they want one more lap. Remember, when the checkered flag falls, they are are allowed to finish any laps that they do start in this qualifying. But on top of that, there are teams jumping here, there, and everywhere. Whitey's Pies, they have just moved up to 17th. They're still short by 0.2 of a second. Watch out for OPR, Whitey's Pies. Keep an eye out as well on the Frog Leap Blue and Mark 1 Esports. Those are the 4 teams that could jump up into the top 15 right now. The 707 will make a run to the line as we go inside a minute, and they jump their 89 teammates up to 8th place.
Yeah, that was a great effort from them. That's 2018. So close to getting Team PGZ, which I think's on another 4 at the moment. The 333, once again, of Jesse Butler coming down. He's on a very good lap at the moment. Can it improve enough? We get this Lamborghini further up the field, maybe inspire a few more Lamborghini drivers out there to take up endurance rating. One more lap after this, if they get it right. Come across, and they've got to get this exit right. Take us away, Sperry.
So, over the line, that's 202.906. So that's not going to be enough to improve. They stay 21st at the moment. Last car over the line should be Jakub Kwiatkowski with about 3 seconds. So OPR are going to be key. Frog Leap, though, are going to be in front, and the 99 will have them go through. But the 43 looks like they're on a lap as the checkered flag comes out. So can they find the lap time as they finish it? Scott Hassler will be first for the 99. Then it's the 43, who is nice and neat there in the BMW, trying to get that lap time sorted. It's only 12 thousandths that's needed. Frog Leap can't do anything. They won't make the showdown. But when it comes to Nick Carroll, has he done enough? Oh, no, he doesn't. 202.8, the lap fell away at the end. And as such, nothing can be done about that. The 52 will feel like they're safe, but Brett Loxton will come to a time, but so too the number 65, but 65's backed out of it, so they're not going to get themselves a time out of this one at all. Over the line goes Loxton then to set a lap, and that is 202.6. Over the line does not improve, so they stay in 12th, but can the 333 say anything on this lap? This is big for the Lamborghini, the only Lamborghini we've seen. We go on board now through the small flick left onto Conrad. And now this lap needs to be magical from the 333. Can you find, if you are Jesse Butler, 0.4 of a second to put yourself inside that top 15? They're not the same team that they used to be back in the days of Harley Haber. And there goes the lap with a big kick of oversteer through at the chase, and the 333 will go 21st over the course of their qualifying. That'll be that for them. PGZ, by the way, with that lap time, moved up to 4th fastest as they went through, and that will put them in a fantastic position. They do have the option to go for one more, but they've backed out of it. So we can now go through the way that the top 15 and beyond look overall. So making the shootout then will be ABB Racing with the fastest time, a 201.093 in tougher conditions, with the likes of the Evolution Racing team in second position, the 261. In third is Pulse Echuca Toyota, finding themselves in third with Team PGZ in fourth position. The second of the Evolution Racing team cars, the 262, is in fifth position with 95 SimSport up in sixth place in that one. Also, you've got DBM Beyond Blue. They are seventh with Wave Runner Synergy Sim Racing, both eighth and ninth. The 707 ahead of the 89. It's TriStar Racing who round out the top 10, and the final five who make their way through will be Race on Oz, Team Jinx Shifters number 52, the Frog Leap Juiced Racing Black Team, Crisscross Racing's 51, and Rust Ease Racing just hold on by 12 thousandths of a second. BMWs, as far as the eye can see beyond that, starting 16th tomorrow will be OPR powered by Fast Adjusters, and they'll be followed by Whitey's Pies powered by Ryko, and then HTS Racing Yellow. WMB SimSport will go from 19th. Frog Leap Juiced Racing Blue will round out the top 20, and that leads to Mark 1 Esports over the page in 21st, the Lamborghini, the two Ferraris then of Shakedown And on top of that, TriStar Racing's 999. Nice to see their effort out there today. Then you've got ANZ Motorsport, the second of the 9.5s. Rapid Theft, Drop Bear and Cozy will go from 27th. Taipan Esports from 28th. Frog Leap Juiced Racing Red will go 29th. DG Motorsports, we saw the red flag come out for them in 30th. And following that, Fishy Motorsports 808 and Crisscross Racing's number 22, making the 32. But, Wilco, we have eliminated 32 down to 15, and now it's 15-1. It's shootout qualifying, which will be coming up. And how important is it going to be, firstly, to get a clean lap, secondly, to get a quick lap?
Oh, look, it's going to be great. We've got those two cars, ABB and Evolution 261, out in front by almost half a second. It's going to be tight between those two. But realistically, if either of them get it wrong, anyone can come up and grab that pole position. But look at the time spreading out over the rest of the field for that top 15. It is just crazy. And well done on that session, going the full length with no red flag. Very great effort. Very good effort, especially with those times they were doing there. Very, very good effort for those times.
Well, it's been very good times, but we are going to take a very quick break of a couple minutes. When we come back, it is shootout territory on qualifying night for the Logitech G OSR Bathurst 12-hour. Who will put their team on pole position for the big race as we go once around the clock?
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
"32 became 15. Now it is time to deliberate. Those 15 drivers get one lap from 15th position over the qualifying session up to first. Who is going to write their name down with their team and put themselves up at the front of the field? It's Jake Sperry, it's Peter Wilkinson, it's a Sperry and Wilco production here with SimSpeed TV. The Logitech G OSR Bathurst 12-hour qualifying night continues here, brought to you by, of course, Logitech G, Oceanic Sim Racing, and Bowler Media. Wilco, we are just about ready to get ourselves down towards the track and see drivers out there putting to try and get one flying lap sorted. We will start with the 95 Rusty's racing car, which is on its out lap right now. It is going to be Brock Kelly behind the wheel, trying to put the number 95 up there and try and show that Lightning McQueen was in fact the fastest car, even when painted up as a BMW.
Look, it's a beautiful BMW too, but yeah, look, going out on this out lap, it's a very important part of it. You've got to get those tyres warm. You've only got that one lap to get it done, and you don't want to make a mistake going up over this hill. And nervous energy aplenty as you come around, thinking about the lap you're about to do, but making sure you get around this lap in one piece as you get it right, especially getting down when we get down towards Murray's. It's so important to get the last part of this lap right, so you can get that first part of the flying lap. It starts well before the start finish line, Sperry, and I can't wait to see. This is such an exciting build up to what is tomorrow's race.
And that build-up is going to be crucial, and Brock Kelly will set them all off and going. So track temperature right now is 46 degrees. They've got winds coming in from the northeast at 11 kilometers an hour. In-sim time is hitting the middle of the day. It's 12:30 we're coming up to, so the track shouldn't move too much in terms of that heat. This will be as even keel as it gets. One mistake ends their qualifying effort, and that will be that. But for Brock Kelly, it's about start up this lap here at Mount Panorama Bathurst, exiting Murray's Corner and on for a lap, hopefully with the God's help.
That is it. All important. So many points that are important on this lap, but this is one. Like you said, get it up this hill as quick as you can. Get it to Griffin's in one piece, so you can go through the hill. He's doing a great job so far, Brock Kelly. In 15th position, he's really got nothing to prove except for get those people, get a good lap in now, get a banker in, get the fastest lap you can get in, so that if there's any mistakes further up the field, you can steal a few of those positions, or maybe he's got some time left in the tank that he can chuck down and get it a bit further up now. This is his last chance before tomorrow. Let's get it right. Looks like he's going good into the cutting, Sperry, and then going to come up over the hill for the rest of his lap.
Up over the hill then, trying to navigate now the middle sector of this circuit, flicking through then at Reed Park, and now we'll have to deal with the metal grate flying through these series of fast left-handers. Is right on the edge there in that BMW, trying to get as much as possible out of it. Now, what will be interesting is whether this time is faster or slower than the qualifying effort was put in to seed, because it was a 2:02.5, which was good enough to go through. 1.5 seconds split the top from the bottom when it came to that qualifying push. But for Brock Kelly, he knows that a good time might jump him up 5, 6, maybe even 7 positions if other drivers find themselves in trouble. Down the hill then, onto the Conrod Straight, and this is a big moment in terms of finding that time, because this is where you wait. You look at the black box relative delta when it comes to iRacing and see, okay, am I up? Am I down on my telemetry? If the answer is you're down, you need to be really aggressive through the final 4 corners of the circuit, which is all now already down to 1. Having exited the chase to Murray's Corner once again goes Brock Kelly. It's looked a pretty sturdy lap here for this opening foray, and it's a 2:02.535, so it was quicker than his qualifying lap time over in the initial session, but only by 100th of a second, and a 2:02.5, the benchmark here, Wilco.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. As you're saying, he's got nothing to lose in this situation. He is the 15th car on the track. He can't go any further back down the field. He had to just put in a solid time, and he's done that. Beaten his time that he did out in the official qualifying session. You couldn't ask for more than that. Looked very clean. Very good effort there for Brock Kelly all the way around as we go to the crisscross racing entry with Stefan McCurtain coming down through Forest Elbow on his outlap. Can they do the 2:02.536 that Brock Kelly has just put down? Getting ready to put on that finish off that outlap to get that lap started perfectly. Very.
Yeah, so Stefan McCartain then for Crisscross Racing, the sister car of the number 51, found a lot of trouble. The number 22 couldn't get a representative lap time in. The spin that was there certainly didn't help. But for Stefan McCartain, it's now going to be about pressure point. Because with every single car that goes by, there is more emphasis that is put on. Now heading towards Hell's Corner, turn number 1, out on track. This is about putting everything together for one perfect lap. Up the hill, looking towards turn 2. That later braking zone is going to be crucial. And it's also that sort of braking zone where you feel it a little bit in your left foot, that you feel a little bit scared as you go and jab on the brakes here in towards that section. 142 kilometers an hour, putting the power on through the exit, the cutting. Next up, turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, gets a solid effort at the cutting here, gets nice and close and gets right out there. So far looking good, very well set up to get across this mountain at a very good rapid pace. Comes in close, like we said, lines it up here. You got to get this first little Etihad sign, get across to hit the grate perfectly, and then McPhillamy. You get that little bit of jump over there, a little bit of a rise, you lose weight, and your car can get all kinds of sideways there as we come down through this such iconic section of Bathurst. Getting exposed again, didn't quite hit that apex, almost hits the wall there coming out. Getting himself lined up for Forest Elbow, which is the very important part, Sperry. Coming down, time's looking not too bad, exits well.
Exits well, but now this for Crisscross Racing is the point. The BMW versus the BMW, so there is no difference in terms of how they go about it, except maybe the way that they set it up. And that is going to be crucial. Hitting 273, 274 kilometers an hour on the brakes, sending through as late an apex as possible through the chase and trying to drive off the exit. The tyre tracks are still there from the Lamborghini earlier of Mark 1 Esports, but now here at Murray's, how does the time look? It's going to be pretty close here between them, but it's going to be short by 0.4 of a second. So Crisscross Racing find themselves in the wrong position then and find themselves second. So that 202.5 there from Brock Kelly, enough to gain at least one position, and every single position that is gained becomes very, very vital. Number 98 is up next. It's Robert Crisdale who'll be behind the wheel of the Frog Leap Juiced Racing Black. Now here's a driver, Wilco, who has improved year on year on year. He was the sort of driver that you looked maybe 1 year, 2 years ago, and he would be down in about 26th, 27th position. Now he finds himself 13th coming into this and has an opportunity to really make sure that Juiced Racing Black BMW has a great effort here.
Yeah, these are the guys who have had to sit there for a long time watching their position in jeopardy in that last qualifying session. All that nervous energy once again we're building up. He'd be very happy to be out there in this qualifying position, Robert would be, and ready to show off what he can do on this track. The 98 comes down, getting ready. Those tyres look like they're nice and warm. Gonna start to get the foot down here. This is where you really need to start laying the lap down, getting it down into Murray's, hitting that final braking section. Now he's going to do a little bit more weaving, get that last little bit of warmth into the tyre, and away we go. It's good to see drivers like this, as you said, sitting 26th a few years ago, roundabout there, and then coming up and being in a top 15 shootout like this. And here it is, ready to go. What can he do to this lap? A little bit, didn't quite hit the apex there on Hells, but coming up pretty well into the big important Griffins right now.
Yeah, turn 2. That's going to be where it all opens up for Robert Crisdale. He's going to have to be alert to that. Now, the question is going to have to be asked, where do you find that lap time? And you know through turn 2 whether you're on a good lap or you're on a great lap. And it's that middle sector coming up the hill where you've got to be alert, Wilco, to everything that the car is doing. You have to be finely tuned.
Yeah, that's it. And you've got to be getting those... these guys will be working on this particular set for a long time, making sure that their quality is perfect. This car should feel great, but it needs to go to the limit as he comes around. Doesn't quite get out to the wall. It's not like he's pushing the limits of this car at the 98, but still looking okay here as we come into Skyline. Gets it down, gets nice little bit of the ripple strip there, and then straightens it up through the dipper, and off we go. Getting ready for the Forest Elbow. This little bit of a break you get, this little straight where you can accelerate a little bit, and then gets Forest Elbow's exit, gets out, and the big push down Conrod.
It looks good here from Robert Crisdale, it really does, and I tell you what, that's about the cleanest that we've seen anybody so far make that run down from Peterbrook Skyline. Now on Conrod, how much difference is there? 274 was the marker that we saw earlier from Crisscross. Is it going to be any quicker? 274 again is the marker from Robert Crisdale on the break, so very similar in terms of top end as they go through on raw power on that section of track. But what can you find in terms of moving up? Still, it's 2:02.5, which is the margin through Murray's, 2:01, 2:02, and it's going to be short 2:03 flat. So again, couldn't quite manage to find the right time. And the Frog Leap Juice Racing Black car is the slowest of the three that we've seen so far. Falls backwards, another little jump for Rusty's, and again, it's a tick the books, but number 52 is going to be up next. It's Team Jinx Shifters, and they've got Brett Loxton behind the wheel.
Yeah, Brett Loxton ready to go, ready to set down a fast lap. I would love to have a camera on Brock Kelly right now as he watches himself jump up this qualifying ladder, getting every extra position when someone doesn't quite go as fast. And you're right, that was very quick looking run over the top from Robert, but it just didn't quite have it at the end. But here we go, Brett Loxton for Team Jinx Shifters, number 52. The long run down on his outlap down the straight, getting ready for the chase. All he's thinking about is these next turns before he gets into the final, the actual lap.
Certainly is, and I tell you what, for someone who is as experienced as Brett, he definitely has that streak of knowing this is what I'm capable of doing. This is what I want to get out of it. And for the Team Jinx Shifters car, which is part of Henry James Racing, this is a big lap time for the number 52 incoming. We'll be looking at the likes of TriStar and the two Synergy cars and feel like I need to be on their sort of level. But first, you got to deal with number 95 out there in terms of a lap time. You have to deal with Rusty's Racing. Turn one looked okay. Now driving up the hill towards the Griffin's Bend at turn number 2. Will now need to try and get settled through this section. Nicely sorted, uses the curb on the exit. A little late to the curb though, but this is for Brett Loxton. Pretty much a by-the-numbers opening sector.
Yeah, it's looking good. He's really getting close to those walls and hitting those apexes the way he should be. The way I've seen a few people not quite being willing to go that extra mile in qualifying. And we've seen it before. The more risk you take, the more reward you do get, but it is very risky. Comes across the mountain, up top of the mountain there, very close to the walls as he gets in there. Very good, tight cut across McPhillamy there. Gets it ready for Skyline, gets ready to drive down this mountain.
Purple in Sector 1. Purple in Sector 2. Purple in Sector 3. Team Jinx Shifters and Brett Loxton are finding the formula here through the Forest Elbow. It's the first time we've seen the Ferrari come into play, and that Ferrari is going to be a lot better up over the mountain. That's where it has its advantage. We'll see how much it's down on the straights. That's going to be where it's crucial. Remember, it's 274, which is the margin we're looking for. 274, it hits on the straight. They've got a rocket ship of a Ferrari right now, does Brett Loxton and Team Jinx Shifters number 52, making the run over towards the final corner. Is there going to be a great lap coming through? Small correction through that final section, and it's a 2:02.473. So the lap started to claw back and lose a bit at the end, but it is crucially enough for provisional pole at the moment. There is still time waiting for them, though, and they will look at Race on Oz as the next car over the mountain.
Yeah, it was a quick time, but it definitely looked quicker for that first half. Interesting how he just fell away towards the end there, but that was A very interesting lap there. Very well done. Brett Loxton got to be happy with that, putting himself on provisional pole. Luke Mitchinson, we saw the quick time he put in qualifying and how he still potentially had plenty of time to spare. Gets out on the track, be thinking about those extra spots where he can make those little 100th of a second and 10th of a second and add them up, coming out of Forest Elbow, getting himself ready to come down the straight and get this lap started. Sperry, the 5th car of 15. Let's go.
Now, here's the key for Race on Oz. You look as you go out. So when the driver in front of you starts the flying lap, you wait for the call to say you can leave the pits, and then you leave. You are halfway around your representative lap before the time you realize what time the car in front of you has done. And then you've got one lap to go and match it and beat it out there overall. Race on Oz have been there and seen it all before, and they are looking to try and get their number 26 BMW here right up to the pointy end. They know what they've got to do. They've got to go quicker than the lap time that they set in qualifying, and immediately heavy over the outside curb on that initial run through the opening corner. I think they've got away with it on that run through. Haven't picked up an off-track incident point, but an off-track incident point pretty much would put an end to any hopes of their lap times. Up at turn 2, after being too aggressive through the opening corner, I tell you what, Luke Mitchinson here is really driving to the extremities of the circuit. I think he may be slightly over-driving at this stage, Wilco.
Yeah, I think so too. He slightly missed that apex in turn 1, which sort of got him off wide into the exit of turn 1. And I think he's looking on that board trying to find a little bit of time to make up. Very close to the wall there. Really finding limits now. Not going to hold anything back. This is what you need to do in a one lap shootout. You can't leave any time out there. You've just got to go for it. And I like it. I like the aggressive nature of Luke Mitchinson as he comes down through Skyline, hits the ripple strips right, gets this ready to go. He's on a good looking lap here, Sperry. I think we've got a fast exit coming up, mate.
Yeah, but he's purple in sector 3, but he lost 4.5 tenths in the opening phase of the lap. So he's got work to do. Little kick of the tail down the Forest Elbow and trying to find a little bit more that's out there. He knows now that he's got work to do to get it back. Currently on pace to jump ahead of the Crisscross Racing 51, and there's a bit of a gap there that you can ply a trade into, but now descending down the hill, looking for it at the chase, is in nice and daintily through that section for a hulking BMW, which will be difficult to pass on race day because of just how wide it is out on track. This is a run through the final corner, which Luke Mitchinson hopes has gathered back up some time, and the answer is a 2:02.957. It is just enough to jump ahead of Crisscross Racing by 100th, and as such, is third fastest overall.
Yeah, and really, we talked about that 4 tenths he lost in that first sector. You can see that's not why he's not on provisional pole right now. As we move across to TriStar Racing, the 222 as it comes down through Skyline here, gets ready to go. And the Ferrari looking good, ready to go. We've got Sam Sutton on board here. And can Sam set this car up and beat the 2:02.474 that is currently leading for Brett Loxton? I'm telling you, Brock Kelly doing a great job sitting there watching this and wondering where he's going to finish up. Already made 4 positions.
Already made 4, but you'd have to wonder, though, when it comes to the TriStar Racing 222, where do you look? So as it stands at the moment, it's Team Jinx Shifters who currently find themselves 11th position at least. 12th at least is Rusty's Racing. But as now Sam Sutton slows it right down, looks to get the last little bit of emphasis out then of the tyres, weaving to get a little bit more heat in them and get going again. This needs to be a strong lap from TriStar Racing. Sam Sutton has been up there towards the higher echelons when it comes to Australian sim racing. When it came to Scops, he was certainly one of those drivers who was knocking on the door of top 10s a good 3 years ago. But now, as he looks to try and push this 222 Ferrari up through the order, it's going to be a lot of work that's needed. Hitting the brakes as late as you possibly dare, perfectly hugging the inside curve, perfectly over the outside curve. This is a brilliant looking lap to start then. Looking to try and get as much as possible, flicking through the left though of the cutting and getting a little bit wide. This will compromise the line through turn 5 slightly, so watch out for this middle sector to maybe be slightly down compared to Brett Loxton.
And he did try and he tried to correct that and got a little bit sideways, that coming up over that hill as well. Getting close to the walls though, the commitment's there. He gets it onto McPhillamy, getting right up to Skyline here, getting nice and close to the walls. Definitely going to have to try and make some time up, but looking good so far. Bit of a sideways, a little bit sideways there, but looking good otherwise. Still on pace for a very good lap. Forest Elbow getting that exit right here, looking good, and doesn't hit the wall. Off he goes, Sperry.
Yeah, and this sector's important. Sector 4, that he's only level, because that was where Brett Loxton lost 0.2 of a second on his time, and he could only match it, so he's down 0.2 at the moment. Now heading on to Conrod. This needs to be a magical final section of track to bring all that time back together. 2:73, he's a little bit slower in a straight line, but is certainly able to gather it up potentially through the corners. Can there be a little bit more to find? Under the Armoural Bridge, passing the hotel on the left-hand side of your screen, and now heading to Murray's Corner. Has Sam Sutton done enough to hold position? Answer to that is no. It's a 2:02.7, and as such is third fastest. So we'll bump race on Osdown 1, and they will start at this point no better than third position overall. Sam Sutton, it was a good lap there, Wilco, but ultimately it was the opening couple of sectors where the time fell away. As next up now will be a crucial lap, the first of 2 Synergy Sim Racing Wave Runners. It's the 89s first, and it is Wayne Burke who will have the first crack of the mountain.
Yeah, it just shows how important it is to be on the ball from the very, very start of the lap. You just can't make that time up on a lap like this. We've shown it. These guys are fast. They look clean. But if you don't fully commit to that first turn, you really do put yourself out of it. Once again, this top 6 so far looks very interesting. But here we go, Wayne Burke slowing it down, getting it ready, going to get all that last little work out of these tyres as gets that BMW ready to go for an absolute flyer. And I'm excited to see what the first of the Wave Runners can do, Sperry.
Now, we were talking about this a little earlier, that it takes 2 laps, really, to get the heat in the tyres. And these drivers know they don't get 2 laps of warm-up. They're only going to be allowed and allotted the 1. So you have to try and get as much as you can out of it. Go through the heat cycle of the tyre, making sure that the brakes are warmed up to get those lap times all together. And then find one fantastic lap. It was a 2:01.8 in initial qualifying from the Synergy Sim Racing Wave Runners. They were the first of the teams to break that 2:01 barrier who are coming up next. So they are going to be ones to certainly watch. Heading to Hell's Corner, this opening section slightly misses the apex. Going through there, gathers a lot of curb on the exit. Can get away with that, but definitely not ideal there from Wayne Burke to start the lap. And when you start the lap in a little bit of jeopardy, it does affect the way the rest of the lap goes. Is it going to be gathered back nicely here at turn 2, looking to pick up the line, and is all over the white line, trying to get as much that's there. And it's very neat, it's very tidy there through that second section. Turns 3 and 4 might be a different story, flicking through the long left-hander up at the cutting, and it's in a nice position at this point.
Yeah, looking good, looking clean. You see how much that first turn hurts. You see how close he gets to the wall there. I love that little bit of the track. And then finally to the other wall. It's all about not overdriving. You mentioned it before with one of the other drivers about overdriving. Even if you're seeing a little bit of red on your dashboard at the moment, say you're behind, don't overdrive it. Just be smooth. Get those exits right. You can see a little bit of sideways in the rear there. The car's a little bit loose. The tyres get a little bit hotter every time he does that. be smooth, get it right, and make sure that you don't overdrive it. That's the key. But look, Wayne Burke is looking good here, still on a fast lap spare. I think he's going to be pretty good at this stage.
Purple sector 4, and that's big because that will give him a couple tenths of a second to jump up forward. And now it's just about maintaining the lap. He matched the Ferrari of Team Jinx Shifters every stage of the way through the opening initial stages of the lap. But Wayne Burke now flying through the final sector, going through the chase, and now looking towards Murray's Corner. This could be the lap that puts them on top for the moment. Has just been having to manage the lap quite nicely. It has been very well executed at a 202.3. It's enough to say by a tenth of a second that the Synergy Sim Racing team now hold the benchmark, and at worst is going to be in 9th position in this one. But from one Synergy car to another Synergy car, it will now be Tom Freer's turn to tackle the mountain, as he will look to try and best out his teammate in Wayne Burke.
And that's it. These are two teammates running one after another. They're going to get all the feedback from the previous driver about, you know, how the car feels, especially if they're running very similar setups, where the problems are, where it's a little bit loose, where it can really attack it. It's that kind of information that might just help Tom Freer jump a little bit further up here. But great job still. Brock Kelly sitting 3rd out of 7 at the moment. Brett Loxton's got to be happy with still sitting 2nd at the moment. What can Tom Freer do for the second of the wave runner entries as he gets down? Final chance to get those tyres warmed up. Barry, he's going to be pushing this to the limit, I assume.
No driver yet has made a mistake in this shootout, as we take a look here at the virtual racing school replay here of just how close you go on an outlap up through Reed Park, and that pretty much shows you just how close you're going to have to be. And that was, Wayne Burke there going through. That was on the lap. But now here is Tom Freer, and he will certainly be hoping that the 707 can find a bit of pace. 201.893 was 4 thousandths of a second quicker than the time of Wayne Burke last time out. Late to the apex entry, carries it nicely over the curb though on the exit, and will do a very nice job of things through turn 1. But at least for Tom Freer, he has been knocking on the door of being the elite quick. He has been very good. He has even been great when it comes to sim racing as an Australian driver, but he hasn't knocked on the elite door loud enough just yet. Nicely through turn 2. Will be now moving towards the cutting, turns 3 and 4, trying to maximize as much as he can. Gets right up against the wall on both sides of the circuit now, trying to attack the middle sector.
Yeah, looking good so far, I think. I really, what I'm liking to watch about Tom Freer at the moment is not how close he gets to the wall on the point of exit, how close he's getting to the outside of the track on the point of entry. He's really opening these turns up and getting the fastest run through he possibly can to these turns. It's looking quick here at the moment, and my data says that it is quick. You see how close he gets to the wall there coming down through. Car's looking stable as well. He's not overdriving it. The car looks good. He's looking good at the moment. This is a pretty quick looking lap as he gets it out of Forest Elbow, the big one. Can he do it right? Gets it on the track. It's looking good, Sperry.
It's looking good. He had a purple 3, which should have been right over the middle of the mountain. Level again, though, at Sector 4. This is going to be a close fought battle here between the two Synergy cars for top Synergy dominance. Who is going to be the biggest wave runner? As now at the fastest corner of Australian sim racing, the chase, it comes to Tom Freer, and he slightly misses the apex on the inside, but he gathers it up nicely coming off of the exit. Now he will head to the final corner, and can Tom Freer and the 707 Synergy Sim Racing Wave Runner team move up and gain that place? The answer is a 202.4, 300th the difference maker, and Freer couldn't find it in the final sector. It just fell away. It was nip and tuck everywhere you looked, but it was the back half of the lap where it slowly faded.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these drivers aren't quite getting that back end of the lap right. They look good over the hill, and Tom looked really good at the start of the lap as we head over to the DBMX Beyond Blue car, Lockie Cape. Well, we haven't seen much of him today. We had a very good lap, though, in qualifying. But look at this car coming down the hill. What a pretty looking car. Getting ready. We know Lockie Capel. We know how good he is. The Ferrari, in the 862 Ferrari. He's going to be up for a big one, Sperry. I'm looking forward to this lap in particular.
I'm looking forward to it as well, and I'm sure that Lachlan is going to be trying to push the DBM Beyond Blue team right up to the limits. Dan Yeaman will be with them. You've got Cameron Dance in there. You've got Sweeney, who's going to be with them too. This 862 team is pretty much a mix and match of some very, very talented drivers. We'll see how they go about it. Lachlan Capel, though, this flying lap is going to need to find something quite nice. 201.845 in cool conditions. We'll see whether that can be matched over the course of the action there. Nice through the opening section of track, so it's done quite nicely with it. The track has actually risen another degree of temperature, though. It's 47 degrees now, so it's getting even tougher to find the lap times that are necessary. Over towards turn 2 then at the Griffin's Bend, and that is pretty smooth going through using all of the road available. Goes Lockie Capel now through to the cutting at turns 3 and 4, and this is looking pretty good in terms of a lap time. We'll reserve judgment at the moment, but at least for now it's looking like it is within the ranges, identical through the opening sector.
Yeah, look, I don't want to put the mocker on Capel. I won't say it's a fast looking lap. Every time I said that, they've stuffed up the second half. So look how close he's getting to the wall. This is a really good effort, though. Gets right up on the ripple strip where you want to, gets across. There's a few sparks there. Comes down. He's pushing this. This is a really good effort. But did he make a mistake there, Sperry? I think he's pushing.
Yeah, he was too early. He was too early to turn in there, coming through to the dipper, so he had to get out of it, and that will cost the lap time then for the DBM Beyond Blue car, and it was a purple Sector 3 as well. 2/10 fall away in Sector 4 because of the early turn at Brock Skyline, and now this section of track becomes massive here for Lachlan Capel because he has made a mistake over the course of his lap. It shouldn't cost him too much. It's still going to be in range with the likes of the TriStar Racing 222, which shouldn't be too bad in terms of the lap time. But through the chase, getting a lot of curb there through the second part and really trying to find anything, if there is anything right now, to go to the final corner and get that lap sorted. 862, 2026, and the lap fell away with the mistake coming down the hill. So easily done, just a half turn too early.
And you can see how far he was pushing it going up over the hill. It's not surprising that he made a mistake. What I'm surprised about is no more people have made mistakes tonight. That's the first real major checkup we've seen on a lap. We've seen a little bit loose, we've seen a little bit sideways, a little bit all kinds of stuff, but not a mistake like that. As we head to the 952 of the 95 SimSport entry, we've got Hayden Snell on board at the moment as he gets his car ready to come down and try and beat the time of a 202.370, which is the Wave Runner 89 in Wayne Burke at the moment.
952, the 95 SimSport team piloting the BMW. They have been a team on the up and on the up even further. They have been one of those teams which, at least over the last 2 years, have just cropped up and said, you know what, we can put a really good result together on our day. And for Hayden Snell, this might be the day today. A little bit of blinking, though, heading through to the final corner to gear up for this flying lap. And this is going to be important right now to see whether this is going to be good enough. Heading to the opening corner, big missed apex, though, at turn 1, and already the lap in trouble. A little bit of jeopardy that's there. It's going to have to take some magic to bring this lap back from the 9.5 SimSport team. And this is what one lap shootout qualifying does. It puts immense amounts of pressure to get the lap right. And if you get it wrong, you're in trouble. Misses the apex again through turn 2, gets right up against the wall on the exit. And this is a trouble lap for Hayden Snell. And they're going to be falling backwards the longer this lap goes.
Yeah, hopefully he's got a spotter sitting above him telling him to just take a few breaths and just make sure he gets the entrances and exits right, because he's not doing that right now. He's going to be very close to the wall there. Great job, though. Looking a little bit smoother as we get across the mountain. Hopefully it's just some things that he's gotten out of the way. Oh, brushes the wall there. That's very close to the wall, and then comes up, gets himself ready. Will he get through the dipper and the S's cleanly and at least save this lap? It's not the best looking lap at all, but this is, like you said, one lap shootouts. The pressure's on, and I love it. And we're seeing what happens here. Someone who's qualified well is in this position now, Sperry.
Yeah, lost 2 tenths in the opening sector, lost another 2 in the second. Sector 3 of 6 was level, but that was the fastest 4th sector of anyone. So descending down the hill was the fastest time we've seen so far on what is the rapid section. Hayden Sell now to the fastest corner in Australian sim racing, 2:75, fastest we've seen in a straight line. That will also be a cause for help in terms of what 9.5's able to do. They've really got some pace in that BMW. And now heading to Murray's corner, how much are they able to gather back over the course of this lap? Will they go past the likes of the DBM Beyond Blue car? The answer is a 2:02.7 over the line, and as such is going to jump just ahead of the TriStar Racing team by 0.02 of a second. So 6th fastest overall, and that will be disappointing, but that was well recovered, Wilco, after what was a very, very awkward opening foray, opening exchange, as we now look at the Evolution Racing Team 262.
I'm pretty impressed by that second half of that lap. Hayden Snell, well done from where you put yourself in the position. But here we go. Matthew Bowler had that incident in the first qualifying session today. Got to get that out of his system. He's just going to put a fast lap down. We saw how quickly Evolution cars are. Getting the car ready to go now, the 262 as he comes down the hill. Got to get that tyre warmth. This should be a fast lap. Will it be the fastest McLaren of the day? Only him and his teammate can find that out, Sperry.
Oh, that is very, very true. They also have to worry about that Pulse Echuca Toyota, which is also a McLaren. So that could also have a say in terms of fastest Macca out here today. One thing they do, though, have as a disadvantage right now, Evolution Racing Team, is that they will be cold to the circuit compared to everybody else, because they've had to sit for 35 minutes and watch everybody else go out and set lap times, try and get themselves in. So they would have had a very long wait to get themselves sorted. But if Matthew Bowler can find the lap time that's available to him, 2:01.7 in their qualifying effort, they now know that when it comes to what they need out on this circuit, it is a much different circuit. Now 11 degrees worth of difference. It's gone up even more, and through the opening corner, that's all right. Maybe you can do a couple tweaks to the setup through this section of track if you can get that heat sorted in the tyres. Now here to turn 2. Is this going to be good? Maybe a little bit late to entry, but it's all right going through from Matthew Bowler. He's certainly the face of concentration at the moment as he flicks through to the cutting now. Turns 3 and 4, uses all the road, takes the slingshot fantastically, and now pivots to try and attack through the middle sectors.
Yeah, looking very calm and collected on the Zoom call there, isn't he? It's pretty different watching that when you see how I look when I drive for Matthew Bowler, looking great over top of the hill as well. Getting as close as he can to the walls, getting his turn-in markers right, gets right up on, doesn't quite get up on the ripple strip as much as I thought he would, but here we go, going down, plenty of curb there, plenty of close to the wall there. Matthew Bowler's looking pretty good at the moment, Sperry, but his time just seems to be drifting back a little bit. On pace for a good lap here as he gets Forest Elbow right, comes out, and here we go, ready to go down the straight for Evolution Racing.
Yeah, it was very, very good in Sector 2 of the lap, but he was level. Sectors 1, 3, and 4. It's going to be close here in terms of time to the 89 Synergy Sim Racing Wave Runner outfit. This is going to be where you're going to have to build it up. The McLaren is definitely not quick in a straight line, though. Only 271. This is a cornering demon out there, and this is where the disadvantage comes in. 1.5 tenths down at Sector 4. This lap is slowly falling away because there's no top end. It's the only disadvantage the 262 car has. It's a 2:02.629, and as such will jump DBM Beyond and will only manage to go fifth fastest then with that lap time. So definitely some troubles there. And I tell you what, the Rusty's team will be very happy with how much they've jumped up. They are inside the top 10.
Yeah, that is a great effort. I was just going to bring that up before you did, but here we go to Team BGZ with the Jacob. What can he do with this lap? We've seen how quick he was in the qualifying. They had that massive lap that jumped them right up to 4th position, which was a very good effort from them. The Ferrari is looking good in the black and gold and gets ready to bring this car down on this outlap. Sperry, your Team PGZ, get on. Tell us about them.
Team PGZ are one of those teams that have cropped up and they find themselves at the highest levels of sim racing. They know what it takes to go out there and put incredible racing together. They've raced in sports car SEO. They have raced in some of the biggest sim races out there. And now with Jakub Kwiatkowski, they are certainly looking to do the same once again. It's an international team with an international feel. They'll have Simon Nicholson to help them. They will have Brad Newman to help them out as well. But for Jakub Kwiatkowski, he is going to be crucial in terms of this team's effort. Now heading towards turn number 1. Out there on track, using all of the road available on entry, trying to get as late as possible of an exit. And the Ferrari looks pretty solid through that opening corner. And now this is where the power needs to come in. This is where you're going to have that drive. There are only 3 cars after this PGZ Ferrari that can make a difference here today in terms of who will take pole position over here at the mountain. Through turn 2, though, it's slightly wide from Kwiatkowski, trying to carry a lot of speed. A bit of understeer in that Ferrari certainly won't be helping. Heading to turn 3 and 4 at the cutting, and that's more neat. That's more like it.
Yeah, looking good so far. I like how much curb he took on turn 1, but he's definitely using the track as a pretty good effort here at the moment from Jacob. He's very quick, very quick. We saw it before. Getting a provisional pole spot right now, like you said, with 3 to go is all important. Wayne Burke will be sitting back watching this, hoping for a mistake, hoping for an error. We're seeing the times aren't as good as the qualifying before because it's that 1 lap. And he's looking good so far coming down the mountain, though, Sperry. I think he's on a fairly good time at the moment. He's looking smooth and getting close to those walls, and that's what I'm liking the most out of this right now.
Half a tenth of a second down at sector 3. He was purple in the opening sector. It's the middle of the lap where it's starting to fall away and is down here in sector 4. So now all of a sudden, Jakub Kwiatkowski, you're going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Otherwise, Synergy are going to be knocking on the door of potentially a second row start here from Mount Panorama. Kwiatkowski through the chase then. Can he find the magic that puts him up into the front positions? It's looking like it's going to be close. They are level here as they now head into the final corner. It is a 2:02.370, the time to beat. Over the line, it's a 4:64. It will be 3rd fastest, and it is just on the wrong side of the times, and 1/10 of a second. It makes such a difference around here. The 2 Synergy cars have put together a masterpiece when it's come to qualifying so far, Wilco.
Yeah, no, I'm sure if you talk to Jacob afterwards, you would find out there would be 15 different spots he'd lost that 1/10 of a second as well. We've got SSR sitting here provisionally on the front row of the grid. We are now looking at the Pulse Echuca Toyota of John Merritt. John Merritt's in the car ready to do this. This is going to look good. Like you said, this is the McLaren that can really spoil Evolution Racing's top McLaren claim going into the race tomorrow. And gee, that car looks good.
That car does look good. And I tell you what, Pulse Echuca are seeing drivers struggle again and again and again. The top 2, though, in front of them were 5 6/10 of a second quicker over their qualifying efforts. There is the flame of the McLaren that will be looking to try and challenge this team going forward. John Merritt, can he unlock something that the others haven't over their laps? Turn 1 looks absolutely fantastic, well within the lines. It was poetry in motion, the way that he was driving through that section. And for Pulse Echuca now, they know that the number 64 team sort of is out of nowhere. You sort of don't quite know what they're capable of doing, but they know they've got a good turn of pace. They know they're there. They know they're quick through the opening sector. Fastest of anyone in the opening sector. And now, can they continue that on the climb up the mountain through the cutting? Looks okay.
Doing everything that John Merritt needs to do to put this thing on provisional pole. He is almost hitting every wall he needs to almost hit. As you heard, purple in the first sector, looking very smooth. I like how smooth it is. That's the main thing. The car's not jumping out on him. There's no little bits of like hard steering in. It's just smooth, and the flames coming out of that McLaren. Wait till you see the start of the grid tomorrow morning. It's going to look amazing on the stream, and just looking smooth, looking great at this time. Sperry, I wonder how this is looking. How is it fetting? A little bit of mistake there coming out of Forest Elbow, but how's this lap holding up?
Oh, well, that mistake might be big. It was 3/10 up on the opening sector, and then it has been level each sector after. So now it's about holding on to this margin, and that small mistake at the most crucial corner, the Forest Elbow, because it sets up Conrod straight, and John Merritt knows he doesn't have top speed, only 270 kilometers an hour through this section. Is going to bleed a little bit of time away over towards the Synergy BMWs, who have been absolutely sensational in terms of their time. Merritt making his way to the final corner, and is this going to work at Murray's? Takes it pretty decently over the lines of 2:02.5, though. The lap fell away each and every which way it went along, and that is just proof that turn one can be great, but the rest of the lap can fall very quickly. 6th position only for the number 64, and that will mean that it's a guaranteed second row for both of the Synergy Sim Racing cars. But these two vehicles coming up, Wilco, were a light year ahead in qualifying compared to the others. It reminds me of Monaco qualifying one year when Alonso went very much 6-7 tenths quicker than the rest of the field, and then Kimi Räikkönen found a second. Reece Gasol, can he be a rampart to blow everyone else out the water?
That's it. I wonder how much draft played into their times and the things, but I can't really. These two are the fastest we've seen all day, so I can't wait to see what these two can put in. But it just proves how hard it is to put a full lap around Bathurst together when you have to the most. Keep an eye out. Brock Kelly still sitting in 5th right now. Sperry, it's such a good job from him. But yeah, you got to be happy being Wayne Burke right about now. But let's go. 2 to go. What's going to happen?
What is going to happen as it stands in terms of where they have gone for their qualifying efforts? 9th, 8th, 4th, 12th, 15th is how they look at this stage. But Reece Gasol has been in Australian sim racing GT circles an incredibly quick character who has been at times nigh on impossible to stop when he gets in a rhythm, and he has a really nice opening corner, and the balance of the McLaren through 90-degree corners is what gives it so much confidence out there. It is light, it is very nimble out there, and it will try and do everything in its power to do what it must. Flicking through turn 2, now getting a little bit dancy over the curves. That's going to be a cause for concern a little later on in the lap, but taking a much more shallower line going through turn 3, really trying here at the cutting to get as much out of it, ahead by just a tenth on the 89. That's crucial in terms of finding the lap through the middle sector.
That's it. If he's only 10th up now, it's got to be perfect for the rest, but got to be quicker, because you know how much time people have been bleeding at the end there on this hot track. Gets a very, very aggressive line there through Skyline, comes down very aggressive as again, very close to the wall, doing everything he can to keep this thing on pole position. Oh, big mistake there. Big mistake coming out of Forest Elbow. That will hurt. Will not get provisional pole on that, from my understanding, Sperry.
Well, he was purple sectors 2, 3, and 4. It might still be enough. He was so aggressive through, but maybe carried a bit too much speed down the hill. This is going to be where you have to find that time and just hold on to it here. You're just looking at the delta, hoping it's going to be enough. Gasol flicking through the lefts and rights once more here at the chase. He knows how much he wants this. This is for a front row start that he wants to get, and he knows that he's got to do more. He lost 2/10 in that 5th sector, coming to the line, 2:02 flat.
Wow.
What a lap. In fact, they'll call it a 2:01.9 as they get that readjusted, a 2:01.985, and that is fastest by 0.4 of a second. What a final sector he was able to produce, and on top of that, he did so with this small error here, Wilco.
That's no small error, Sperry. That's a fairly significant error. Like, he's got to pull that up before he hits the wall. That's a huge effort to pull that time out from where he was. So aggressive over the top of the mountain. Such a good effort. What a drive from Reese. That's just the... I'm still speechless, Sperry. That I called it. I said he wasn't going to do it, and he proved me wrong. Well done, Reese. Good drive.
Well, that was big. That was really, really big, but it leaves the door open because there is time left on the table for ABB Racing. It is Dylan Burse who is behind the wheel of the BMW, and we have seen how the BMW has been massive in terms of lap times over on the Conrod Straight. That's been where we've been seeing it really claw back. Maximize as much as you can. This is the final lap that can change the complexity of the starting grid for your Oceanic Sim Racing Bathurst 12-hour. Turn number 1 looks okay there from the BMW, but it's about drive up this hill, and this is where the grunt of the BMW comes into play over the McLaren. This is where it will gain a little bit of an advantage, ducking down the hill at 242 kilometers an hour on the brakes into turn 2 up at Griffin's Bend, and now trying to sort out that opening sector, that all-important opening sector. It was about a 10th to look for, maybe 2/10, down a 10th in the opening sector. This needs to be magical.
He has got that time at the end of this lap that he can get if he gets Forest Elbow right, but yes, he does need to... So much time from Reese across this top of this mountain. He was so good across the top of the mountain. He's going to have to be equally as good if he wants to try and get this pole position. And he's looking fairly smooth and good at the moment, but how aggressive is he going to be? How aggressive can you be going through these corners where Reese just left nothing on the table? But looking smooth, looking good. The BMW is getting close to enough walls. This lap is still looking really good and gets Forest Elbow right, Sperry. That's super important.
Purple in sector 2, level in sector 3 because he nearly clipped the wall down the hill. Fastest sector 4 of anybody. But this final couple sectors now decides everything. Dylan Burse is pushing, and he is absolutely pushing with everything he's got. 2:01.9 is all that stands left for him to try and catch. But can he get it sorted? A really nice squared line through the chase, and now off of the exit. Dylan Burse ratcheting everything he's possibly got available to him. Has he got enough to beat a 2:01.9 out there through the final corner? 2 minutes, 2:01.6! 2:01.6! Pole position by 0.3 of a second. What a magical lap!
Yeah, look, let's go back to the fact that he was a 10th down out of Griffin's, and how aggressive Reese was over the top of the hill, how quick he was. Yes, he had that error, but well done, Dylan Burse. What a lap that was. 0.3 quicker than Evolution Racing Team, than Reese, and then almost a full second, or about, 6/10, 7/10 quicker than third place. We do have Wave Runner holding 3rd and 4th, but ABB Racing, Dylan Burse, well done.
Oh, what a lap that we have just had. And I tell you what, when you keep focus on car number 36, we're going to have a look at it as we go around. And we're going to get a chance actually here to bring Dylan Burse into the conversation right now. Dylan, we got your lap on screen right now as we go through. 0.3 quicker than anybody else. Talk us through what made that lap so special for you.
I just wanted to try and make sure I got a decent lap in, just so I didn't fuck up and end up like P15 or anything. I just wanted to try and make sure that I got a decent lap and put me in a good stop. So yeah, I mean, Pretty happy with it. It was clean. It wasn't that over the top, like insane, like pushing super hard. But I mean, good enough to do the deal, so I'm happy with that.
Well, apologise for any language that you've heard,
Yeah,
ladies and
sorry for
gentlemen. But Dylan, crucially, you look at the times and you look at how hot the track is as you go through, that it's about 3-4 degrees more than what it was. Was there anything that you were looking at when the drivers were getting ready and you're seeing those times, then they're all hovering around that same range where you go, do I maybe tweak something maybe with the tyre pressures, with the setup to maybe give myself a better advantage in these conditions?
Oh, I wasn't too fussed really. I didn't want to go make any changes that didn't work in the end. So I was like, oh, we're on a decent dock at the moment. Just send it. Should be alright in these temps. I mean, it was alright in the cooler ones, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it would have changed it up that much. So sent it and worked out in the end. So cool with that.
So cool with that. You and ABB Racing start this race tomorrow from pole position. You've got 12 hours in front of you and open track to work with. How are you looking to go and challenge through that BMW? Are there any important strategy calls that you are thinking about, at least at this moment in time, which makes you think you have the edge on all of your opposition?
Oh, not really. It's a 12-hour race, just safety cars. Just got to try and make sure you get a clean car with 6 hours to go. It's pretty much a sprint race from there on.
Well, it's a sprint race from there on. You've got the pole position, so you've got one half of the job done. You've only got a 12-hour race, piece of cake to go through. Before we let you go, Dylan, shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank.
Oh, look, I'd just like to thank Big Josh Anderson and Alexander Bird for having a love in this race. And yeah, black car goes hard, doesn't it?
Goes pretty quick, doesn't it? It certainly has a turn of pace to it. Dylan Burst there joining us then and has the pole position overall. Wilco, you've been wandering down the virtual paddock and you found your way to the PGZ garage and also to Jakub Kwiatkowski.
Well, Jacob, we've seen how fast you were in actual qualifying, getting that flyer of a lap to get to 4th position. How did the shootout go for you?
Hopefully we're going to get Jakub here on the
Eric, can you
on the noise.
Oh, hello.
Welcome, mate. Welcome. You've just finished your top 10 shootout. You guys have finished 5th on the grid. Are you happy with that?
I was expecting better, but I'm happy with that as well.
Did you think with the times that you were seeing out there, we're talking in the commentary about the track temperature being so much hotter, were you happy with the extra heat going into qualifying?
I mean, it's always a bit more hard to drive in higher temps, but it was okay. Just a bit more understeer on the lap overall, but otherwise was fine.
Do you sit there when you're doing a shootout like this? Do you sit there and have someone in your ear telling you if you're up or down, or do you have a look at your, or do you just jump in and concentrate and try and do the best you can without any kind of other inputs?
Well, to be honest, I turned off the delta and everything and just pray to the Lord of iRacing that the lap is okay.
What are you thinking about for tomorrow's race? Your 3rd row back, you've got the inside line, you've got the Jinx shifters next to you, you've got a couple cars in front of you, but not too many. What's the plan? You're just going to go out there and stay out of trouble for the first 6 hours, I guess?
Yeah, that will be the plan, to stay away from every Macumba possible and just hope for a clean race, because Ferrari got a little bit of power reduction last update because of Rico Wenzel. So I'll just hope and try to be smart on the strategy.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on your lap, Jacob. Is there anyone you want to shout out, or anyone you want to give us a shout out to?
Simon Nicholson, thank you for a good preparation.
Excellent. Now, Sperry, what else have we got planned for the rest of the qualifying?
Well, that is qualifying pretty much wrapped up in terms of how everybody goes about it. We'll get confirmation of results here, where it is ABB Racing who have found themselves at the top, a 201.619. They are there by 3.5 tenths of second over the Evolution Racing team. It is the Synergy Sim Racing Wave Runners who are third and fourth. It is Wayne Burke's 89 entry over Tom Freer's 707 entry in fourth position. Fifth position overall is Team PGZ. Then you've got, following that, the Jinx Shifters alongside them on the third row, meaning it's Ferraris on the third row. Then you've got Rust Easy Racing. They came into qualifying here 15th. They'll start 7th on the grid with the work that they've done. And then following that behind, you got Pulsar Chuka in 8th. Then Evolution Racing Team 9th and DBM Beyond Blue rounding out the top 10 as they go through. The final 5 will be 9-5 Sim Sport, TriStar Racing. You got Race on Oz, Crisscross Racing, and Frog Leap Juiced Racing Black. We do have a chance to talk to the Crisscross Racing driver out there who has done a wonderful job. Stefan McCartain is with us right now. Stefan, a tough session out there. You're one of the earliest cars to go out. You have no real idea what the conditions hold for you there, but 14th position on the grid. You can't really shake a stick at that. 7th row of the grid going into what is a great race around the clock.
Oh, absolutely. It's a 12-hour race coming up. Anything can happen, and I'm just happy to make the shootout, really. Be there and have a chance.
Well, be there, have a chance. And in terms of getting yourself in, it looked pretty close when it came to qualifying before the shootout. You look at the times and you got about 4 or 5 cars split by about half a tenth of a second. Do you look down at that when you're in your qualifying laps? And I don't know, wince a little bit, smile a little bit. Do you see it as a challenge, or do you see that as concern?
I definitely see it as more of a challenge. I didn't really pay attention to the leaderboard till probably my last run, just to actually see where we are and see what the gaps were, and to see, I think it was 4 cars within 3 thousandths of each other was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I was up for the challenge, and the track getting that little bit quicker, it did make it a little bit hotter, made it a little bit harder to go quicker. So, so we just made it in. But no, it was a good session.
It's not just you. You've, of course, got Hughes and Barber along with you for the ride. So in terms of what your aims are, your goals for this 12-hour coming up forward, what is the key then for you? Are you looking at targeting top 10, top 5? Where is the aim going to be for you and the team?
It'd be definitely top 10 for our car, and probably top 15 for the other car. Myself, Barbs, and Hughes are all about the same pace, and we've got a pretty good setup for a hot track. So hopefully it all plays out, and we can get that top 10.
Well, the confidence is there. Before we let you go here, Stefan, we'll give you a chance to thank your sponsors here. Who gets it done for you and the team at Crisscross Racing?
Yeah, thanks. Definitely to Shunt Scenery. They've just come on board this year as our major sponsor, and Jennifer Russell Real Estate for those in New Zealand, and Palmerston Bakery for those in Victoria and Australia.
It is a shame that the 22 car, your sister car in qualifying, took the Shunt sponsorship a little bit too literally, but at least for your team, we wish you the best of luck when it comes to tomorrow. Stefan McCartain there, joining us then from Crisscross Racing's number 51. Race day is tomorrow. That's when we'll have coverage resuming, and it will be 8:30 a.m. AEDT. You will have the first 3 hours, then we'll go dark for 6, and we'll come back for the final 3 hours worth of racing action, and it'll be with us here at SimSpeed TV. You do not want to miss that at all. Here from the mountain, we race once around the clock to make sure that we have an all-important winner. But at least when it's come to qualifying here today of the Logitech G OSR Bathurst 12-hour, with a massive thanks to Logitech G, of course, Oceanic Sim Racing and Bowler Media, this has been all about 2 teams in terms of pace. ABB Racing and Evolution Racing Teams 261. They'll push each other every single stage of the way to get themselves through towards the checkered flag as the winner. But this is endurance racing, and it's not as simple as that. There are a whole host of other teams. Synergy are there, PGZ are there, Jinx Shifters, Rusty's Racing, and Echuca Toyota all have a chance to make an opportunity their reality. We will see you, of course, tomorrow for that action from, of course, Peter Wilkinson, Jay Kennedy, and myself, Jake Sperry. It's been a pleasure to bring you qualifying night Race night, though, or race day, comes up very soon, and we will see you then.
What does it take to win? Is it something you're born with? Is it the grind? Every day. Gear up. Do battle. For the 10,000th time. Or is it pushing to your absolute limits? To be faster. Always faster. Insanely precise. Totally free and at one with the game. Or maybe it's just getting to that place where nothing else matters. Nothing in the way of winning.